The train headed for Sunset City will be departing soon.
That. Do I have
Hello
to
there,
specifically say go?
and welcome to Sunset City, the Sonic podcast for the modern and classic age. With me today, we have Ben 10 himself, and next to him, we have Confusion,
Hey, I'm not confused. You're confused.
and next to him, we have Wayne.
Look, I'm sorry if I'm not who you were expecting, okay?
Mark my
we have
words,
LS
Wayne is
Mark.
here.
God damn it.
We'll fix that for next week. So sorry for
old project assets not working correctly and Adobe Premiere being an absolute butt to work with.
That's how it goes. But hey, we're actually up and running though. I'm really proud of us for that.
Yeah, we are a functioning podcast, which is great. The first topic today is we're going to quickly talk a little bit about the recent Sonic and Tails art episode. If you haven't seen it, be sure to check it out. Be sure to check out the whole series. It's a really great sort of origin for a new side of Tails that we don't often see explored.
Yeah, and again, we need to reiterate this is a fan project, but it's got a bunch of veteran Sonic voice actors in there, and Mike Pollock is in there. And I don't really want to get into the specifics about what happened there, but I gotta tell you, like, that is some of the best Eggmanning he's ever done.
The villainous monologue.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely agree.
It was really nice to hear the more menacing side of Robotnik, and hearing him call himself Robotnik, like, take me seriously. I loved that. I fucking loved it. It was amazing.
I still think one of my favorite parts of that was, if somebody told me we'd been doing this for over 30 years, I'd believe them.
Don't do it. That's meta. They're referencing real life. That's bad.
No, I liked that
You
though. That
fucks.
delivery there was great for it.
Yeah,
Meta
it's
or
a-
not, that's a good way to handle it.
What I
It's a
like is
great-
it. Sorry.
Go on. No, go on, Wayne. Go on.
I was gonna say it helps address like something that I've actually criticized Mike Pollock's Eggman for before, and that's that I can't take the villain seriously as a villain. He's just kind of a cartoon character that gets in the way of the heroes from time to time. Not so much in this. No, he's just a straight up bad guy, and I love it.
Well,
It's a
he's
great-
both. He's got range. It was awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah,
it's a great show with it does great justice to the characters, more so than you'll find in a lot of other Sonic media these days, and it's got great music as well. I won't say too much on that matter, but there's a lot going on here that is well worth checking out if you're a big fan of the storytelling in previous or older, more like adventure era Sonic projects.
Well, I mean, before we move on though, like, not just complimenting the guy who is still doing the job, for Sega. It is still great hearing everybody else doing their parts and hearing Ryan as Sonic again and everything else. Again, we don't want to spoil who's been showing up there.
Yeah.
The story itself is a lot of fun. It's compelling. I'd say the more spoilerly things would be like the fan servicey characters that you might not be expecting, and more the characterization more than anything else. I really got to give it up to Emmy. Like I was telling you guys before we started recording here, she's doing this. I don't know if she's done this like for any other project or not. It's certainly the first time I've heard her do this, and just seen her post on Twitter, like she made her own like Tails shirt as a kid, and I can hear that passion. I can hear somebody who's deeply cared about this character their entire life coming through there and giving Tails the character arc that he really and truly deserves. Like, we got hints of that through the adventure games, but never really told out in a different kind of narrative that I think we can all agree he absolutely deserves. And
Oh yeah.
I got a lot of Goku Gohan vibes with this episode, and made me very happy.
No, it's
Yeah.
a total love letter to Tails.
It felt very, all right, Tails, I'm handing it off to you, without spoiling anything. Like that
Senzu
was
bean.
Sensu bean.
Jamal,
Okay,
thanks
so-
for the $5 in the B theory forever.
Thank you, our pal Jamal. And okay, so are we ready for the next topic? Topic number
Yes,
2.
sir.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Nick and I had a fun day out at the Sage Expo 2021. We're just going to pretend it's a physical thing just for more
I'd love it
compelling
if it was.
storytelling.
I really
Um,
love it if it was.
So it's basically the Sonic Amateur Games Expo, I believe, is what it actually stands for.
Mhm.
And we played through a handful of games. So and we'll just kind of go through what we played and you know, the kind of experiences that we had with it. So would you like to start, Nick, with one of the games that you played?
Sure. So I played a different sets a handful of games there. I think our main talking point is the game we've been discussing for a little bit here. So I'll wait for you to chat on that because I'm interested to hear about some things with that from you.
I've
A
also now
specific
played-
cameo that I'd like to learn a little bit more about.
I've also now
Um,
played that as well, so I'm caught up to speed. I did that when we were watching.
So
Sonic
Wayne has
Pulsar.
two. So all four of us can
So
talk
shall we
about it.
start off then with this particular game?
Let me just get my like quick ones out of the way here, just because this is going to be a I'd say the focal point. So the ones I tried, the non-Sonic games, I think was Froggun, which is very competent, a kind of a puzzle platforming, old school kind of a thing there.
To say, it looked like a good N64 game.
I'd say it reminded me more of like Mega Man Legends in terms of art style, but
I mean, that
And-
was also an N64 game.
Well,
it's
if you're playing
originally
Mega Man,
PS1,
if you're
yeah.
playing Mega Man Legends, you're playing it on the PS1. Otherwise, you're doing it wrong.
yeah.
First time I played through that game was N64. So fuck you.
It
and my
sounds like you did
childhood.
it wrong.
Sounds like you just failed as a gamer, fake
Oh
gamer
man,
girl.
fake gamer girl, sir.
What's a Mega
Anyway.
Man? Is that like a Superman?
I swear to
thing?
God.
Look, I'm done with
Um,
e-girls. I prefer i-ladies now.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Continue, Nick.
Is that a lady made out of eyeballs?
No, i-ladies nuts on your face.
Get on with it!
Anyway, what was that other game that you were in the chat? Was that
Oh, it was
Eversleep?
Eversleep. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another traditional platformer. Again, very
Yeah.
competently made and very charming. It had a lot of Japanese folklore in the core design. You're playing a Tanuki, a female one. I think there's a reason why they went female.
So you could have giant
And I'm actually,
balls.
and that Jordo was with us too, and he gave us $5 just now. Thank you. I went and played a bit of Buck Up and Drive after Nick played it last night. Damn, that was a fun time. That was the other game. I'm mentioning the non-Sonic stuff first because I have seen these games in other amateur expo sort of situations. I bought Buck Up and Drive on itch.io. It is fantastic, and there's an amazing Sonic reference in there. Think Outrun, but with a combo system. It is very fun. It is a lot of fun. But then like the only Sonic games I really got to touch last night, Sonic J, which was just a physics demo more than anything, and very competently built. I'm interested to see what happens when they start putting in hazards and other things in the levels. But the physics are in a good place. And one I've keep hearing about, but I haven't touched until now, which was Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit. That was fantastic. That was very well done. And they gave Knuckles a challenging boss fight. It was great. And Knack, the what did you call it yesterday, Cirrus?
Oh,
Knack the Fangle?
no, it's Fang the Knackle.
Fang the
Knackle.
Yeah, he looked great in sprite form, and his boss fights were great. And the turtle boss fight was upgraded to a full-on straight up UFO. It was amazing. It was so cool.
Sounds
Joshua Seared, hey Nick, it's Mr. Noodler from the Twitch chats. Well, hey, how you doing, man? Sorry I can't stick around for very long, but tell the dog I love him.
I
Dog,
love
he
you
loves
too,
you.
Josh. I love you too.
But that's basically mostly what I played that wasn't of the 3D variety. Oh God, way past Cool Kid. Thank you. Goodness, everyone's generous today. Sorry I'm a bit late. I was busy watching the latest Sonic and Tails R. Good.
So were
Any
we.
Butt. Hi. What's Any Butt? Is that
It's like it's any way, but with butt.
okay? Longtime fangirl, first time donator. Also, hashtag B Theory is canon.
It really is. You know what?
See, we don't
You
need to
are-
mention it anymore. Like we've passed it on now to way past cool kids. Like
We've
way
given it
past
to the
cool kids.
fans.
I guess
That's
we're just
our
gonna start
that's
saying
our
any but.
gift to you. Aren't we benevolent?
You started this.
I know I did. I feel good about it. I feel good about it.
All right, Pup, do you want to kind of talk about your experiences?
All right, so I saw on your stream that you were quite focused on quite a lot of original titles. So I figured I would play exclusively Sonic ones for now, just because I'm not a real gamer. So
It's not untrue.
I'm gonna start with a big event status one. Clue in what I just said there. Big's Big Adventure.
How was
No.
that? Oh my god, that looks good.
I'll tell you about my experience. I couldn't play it. Like my PC cannot handle it. Like
Oh no.
it
Uh-oh.
looks absolutely gorgeous, and it looks like this big, beautiful, sprawling open world with tons of stuff to do. And I would absolutely love to play through it, but it was completely unplayable on my laptop.
Oh,
So
man.
I enjoyed playing it in slow motion for the brief bit that I did, but 5 minutes into the otherwise 1 minute opening cutscene, and I'd had enough. So yeah, that was a good one. Do you want me to move on to another one, or do you want to talk any more about anything else you played, Nick?
No, I rolled through all mine.
Okay, so you're done. Okay.
Yeah.
The next one I played was Sonic Blasters, which is a 2D Sonic game. And it kind of treats itself as like a continuation of the Chaotix game. The gameplay is very faithful in terms of its replication of the classic Sonic gameplay. He's got the Insta Shield as well, which I like. The sprites are really nice. I think like the cutscenes in there, they go for like the text box thing, which I'm a little lukewarm on. And I think the presentation there could be improved a little bit just in terms of like the grammar and stuff. But other than that, like it's good stuff. The level design was ambitious and really exciting. The music was excellent. But I will say this, some of the enemy and trap placement was just straight up obnoxious. Like I wanted to go fast and I get smacked in the face by something, and it happened quite often. So that's one thing I guess I would either work on, unless they want to kind of market that as it's a hard Sonic game. So yeah, that's Sonic Blasters. Next up we have Sonic Encore. And like visually this one looks really nice, and for the most part it's pretty well optimized. Like I could play it on my laptop. Here's the thing I'm going to say is it is a low end laptop, so if something doesn't play right on it, like Big's Big World, like I'm not going to hold that against the game. But like it's got a really pretty aesthetic. It's got a good selection of characters. The music's solid. The recreations of classic levels are really nice. I think Aqua Lake looked gorgeous, and it's nice to see them doing that in 3D, but not playable on a low-end laptop. It goes with, I think, the bumper engine, which Sonic GT ran on, which is great for if you're really building momentum and stuff. You don't get too many opportunities here, though, and I did find that with this level design, it was a bit too slippery. I had a massive anxiety attack for any time I needed to do precise platforming, even though there's a brake, which is really handy. And I did find there were instances of like falling off of a platform and falling right back to the start of the level. And it's like, I think I'd rather just have a bottomless pit, if I'm being honest. But like, yeah, no, I liked the game perfectly fine. It's just there's things I'd probably iron out, is maybe put like a death box for when you get further up in the level, and yeah, make some of those platforms a little bit bigger. Other than that, though, really solid game. I think Oil Ocean was the best level in there. Good stuff. So then there's this quirky little one that I played called Sonic 3D Blast Extreme. And it kind of seeks to kind of bring about the Sonic Extreme experience, but it doesn't do it in that fisheye lens kind of a way, which I think helps.
Yeah.
The music was banger after banger. Like, the music was incredible. But I will say there's not much I can say for this one. I did wonder if it was a mod of something else, given that there's not really many Sonic hallmarks in there other than Sonic's character model. Like, you're collecting pineapples for a start, as opposed to rings, which I found quite
you don't think
strange.
you don't like pineapple rings for that?
You don't think the bees also like pineapples?
Yeah, bees love pineapple, dude.
fuck off. And yeah, the jump was quite imprecise, but like it's a start. There's something there. There's a solid foundation for a potential return to the sort of Sonic Extreme kind of gameplay style. So I would highly encourage that they keep on at it and keep refining it. But like there's a lot of great stuff here. And yeah, that's it for my list. But then there's the one that we all played. And that is Sonic Rush 3D, which really stood out to me because like I'm quite a big fan of the Sonic Rush series, warts and all. So like to see it in 3D, which I prefer to 2D, like great stuff. But like let's go around the table. Before we ask what you guys think, let's quickly go to Aki Dave with the $1.99 super chat saying, supporting the boys. Have a great stream.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank
Aki
you.
Dave.
Thank you very much.
Wayne, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So all of you, I don't know when the discussion started on all the Sage stuff. I don't think I registered any of it until yesterday. And part of the reason I'm not able to keep up with all of this stuff is because I'm working for 10 hours. I'm also a manager at a store, and my entire day is dealing with nothing but messages. So trying to catch up on all of them is a nightmare.
My man's overworked. Can we get some pity super chats, please?
Oh my god.
So the only one that I really had a chance to sit down and play was Rush 3D.
Thank you, Akashodin.
Akashodin, holy cow, thank you.
The pity bits.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the $20.
Thank you. But yeah, God, what was I saying? Right. So I started it last night, and I ended up playing it like somewhere between like 20 and 25 times because I was really enjoying it, and I was trying my damnedest to just get through the entire level in under 3 minutes, which I eventually was able to do. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It's it's definitely got some quirks about it. Definitely little things where I feel like the engine is kind of struggling to do one thing or the other. Like, for example, if you're going through a corkscrew or something, like it feels like it's snagging like the camera every once in a while. Other than that, I would just say, man, let's clean up the boost pacing a little bit, because there were a couple of areas in there, especially once I was trying to get those better times, where it was like I had to mathematically ration out where my boost meter was. But other than that, I really liked it. It's such a cute, fun little concept of taking Sonic Rush and making a little 3D platformer out of it. And the physics I was able to get a hold of pretty easily. The homing attack works about as good as I would like. Sometimes it wasn't always great about locking on to the enemy I was actually aiming for, but hey, what are you gonna do? Yeah, no, I liked it a lot. One of the things I loved about it the most was just, of course, the music. I was thinking Jet Set Radio the entire time. I understand it's music from the actual Sonic Rush, but and same composer and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
But those models look adorable. I love them. I want more Sonic fan games to have that kind of aesthetic. We keep getting, indie games that are based off this retro look. And they're always going 8-bit, 16-bit. I'm down for just, let's move on to the era of indie games based off of low poly 3D models. Let's go.
Yep, right there with you.
Yeah, that's as much as I've enjoyed things like Shovel Knight and everything else, like Crypt of the Necrodancer, everything going back to that aesthetic, seeing crunchy low poly stuff again, it's become an art style in and of itself, the same way that that pixel art has, and I want to see more of it going forward.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't think pixel art is going to go anywhere. I think it's just its own aesthetic nowadays, and it's synonymous with video games, and it's going to be here forever now.
It won't go anywhere, nor should it.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the same with low poly as well. But yeah, I'll stop interrupting.
Oh, well, that was my piece. Pass it off to somebody else.
Serious?
I guess I'll give my perspective. So it felt, I know somebody mentioned this in the live stream, and I don't want to take their idea, but their idea is how it felt when I played it. It felt like a demake of Sonic Unleashed. which is not a bad thing. That's not a knock on the game. But it was very obvious I was playing with low poly assets from Apotos and not assets that were reminiscent of Sonic Rush. These are things that felt more like they were in Unleashed, which again is fine. There's stuff I really enjoyed. I liked how you didn't have to have your boost going constantly to do things like running on water. Whereas that always felt kind of limiting a little bit in Unleashed, where you had to ration boost out a little better. Whereas in this one, it's like, yeah, you can use boost if you want to, and that's kind of how I prefer boost. I prefer boost being a thing that I have options to do, not a thing that I have to do to get through the level or I'm screwed. I know it's a fan game, so this next criticism doesn't necessarily matter too terribly much, but it really did feel like Sonic was very loose. The homing attack had a bunch of issues where it wouldn't necessarily line up right. But there were some set pieces in there regardless that I adored. As soon as you're done with the water walking section and you start going like almost aerial, there's this part where you have to like scale a bunch of Eggman robots going higher and higher into the sky. And just as a Sonic set piece, that made me feel amazing doing that, despite how finicky the homing attack could be. I didn't like the 2D sections in it too much. Whenever the game did the Sonic Unleashed snap to 2D, I felt like it was performing not great then. I felt like that was when the game was on rails. But then every single time that it moved back into 3D, I'm like, okay, things are loose and hard to control, but I have full control over this character, and I'm enjoying playing despite all of that. So I want to see more work on that project. I want to see more done with it, and I want to see more of those just stellar set pieces.
Nice. Yeah, as for me, if you guys were watching the stream yesterday, I had a pretty frustrating time with it. I've only played it a couple times over right now. And again, I don't want to be like too mean, because this is a fan project first and foremost. I really love the aesthetic. I like the idea of it. And full on confession, I've never been a big fan of how the original Sonic Rush looked with Sonic's 3D model compared to what I always thought was very flat, a level aesthetic, if that makes sense. I don't know. I need to describe that a little bit better, but I really like how this looks. It does need work. There are a lot of spots where I just ran through a wall or fell down, or like a checkpoint would start me looking off into a beach when I couldn't go that way. I had to go facing forward. Or if you just boost like immediately starting from a checkpoint, you're going to die, because there's a spike trap just right there that you can't see because the camera flips to the side for some reason. There are a lot of little frustrating parts of that demo that I did not have a good time with it. That said, I don't want it to come off like I want the developer to stop doing what they're doing, because I really like this idea, and I do understand that this is still as new as it is, and I can only really just kind of parrot what you two have already said in terms of some really cool set piece stuff that was happening there, as well as some more technical issues that I think, Wayne, like you very, very, I just love that about you. I like how well you articulated that, like the mathematical challenges, I guess, like in terms of taking care of your boost more than anything else. I think challenges like that, like taking care of your boost and making sure you don't like drown, not great for like a first impression or like a demo or something like that. And again, this is Apotos. This isn't like the first. How do you pronounce it? Is that Apotos?
I think
Apotos?
it's Apotos.
Apotos.
Also,
But-
we just got a giant super chat.
Yeah, Devin. Goodness
my
gracious,
God,
dude.
Devo.
I'm late to the
Sorry.
show, but thought of my question of the week. All right, let's hold on to that. We're gonna get back over to that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's make
Yeah,
sure we got this written down.
Yeah, get that
Yeah.
written down.
Yeah, I got that copied. I'll take care of that. All right, but all that said, yeah, like I think I need to play a little bit more with it. I need to see what happens as they continue development. And again, like if this is like a fuller game, we're always going to keep in mind, like we can't treat fan games like we can like what they charge $60 for.
Yeah.
So overall, I really, as negative as I sound, I am very supportive of this project. and I love how it looks, and I love the idea, and I want to see more as it continues on. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
So, like, one of the key things I've been wanting to see in Sonic games is steering. Like, I want Sonic to steer well. And I think that is a problem with a lot of the Sega games, where I do think that this game gets it right to the point of not always needing the drift. So, like, there's a lot of things where it kind of stands out to me that the gameplay in this does a lot of things I've wanted it to do for quite a while, which is why I think I have such a positive reaction to this. I don't know if you guys.
Else?
We'll get to that. I don't know if you guys. I don't know if you guys remember, but in the Dream Sonic game video, I said that I wanted to keep the boost gameplay, but bring back the tricking system to gain boost, because I think it's a much more fun way of doing it than just collecting rings or wisp capsules. This game does this, and I really love the way that it does it. And like the turnaround on this thing is phenomenal. I think it's 3 months in development, and like what they've got here is great for that time. And I mean, if you played the first demo and then this demo, they came out like 2 days apart from each other, and it's night and day. Like demo 1 has like a lot of issues with like needing to be like ridiculously precise to get to the end goal ring, for example.
Mhm.
That demo 2 really fixes. So like I'm very impressed with like how fast the turnaround on this has been. It does have its issues, such as Sonic climbing walls that he's not supposed to climb. And like I think the whole thing of having the first half of the stage be like a POTOS is an inspired decision, because it does offer a little world building as to like the geography of where the Water Palace is. At the same time, I can understand the disappointment though, because it's like as the first impression of this game, it's like you want something that's quintessentially Sonic Rush, and you're getting something that's half Sonic Unleashed, half Sonic Rush. I also think like when it goes into 2D, it's got the thing where like Sonic games like Sonic Colors and Sonic Forces tend to rely on 2D sections for when the level gets even the slightest bit ambitious. I find that this game has the opposite of that, where it's like the 3D stuff's really ambitious and awesome, and the 2D stuff is suddenly quite
Minimalistic.
Yeah, like a lot of just roads that you're just running on, and like there's a spike bed maybe in front of you that you have to kind of navigate. So it's like things like that I think can be worked more interestingly, but time will tell. I think the only way to go is up from here, and like what we've got so far is a fantastic little demo that I've played through several times now and had a blast with. And yeah, there is that really that very interesting character that appears on the lower path as you get into the actual Water Palace section. Like,
God.
I think honestly, he's bound to become like a cult classic. Like he's going to be the next Professor
He's in
Pickle.
Fucking game. They put a goddamn model of Pup in the game. For fuck's sake, quit leaning it on.
It was cute because I was sitting there playing, and I stopped on this one platform, and there's just this random character model, and I was trying so hard to attack it, and I was like, wait, I know that fucker, and then I took a closer look, and
Here,
it's got it's a low poly channel pup. Unfortunately, audio only listeners won't be able to see, but I did think it was
maybe
very
go
cute.
play the demo for yourself.
I also did notice, Pup, you weren't the only cameo in there. I noticed one other character model that I wasn't familiar with that was just kind of standing off on a cliff looking out.
It was the Sega Saturn girl from the Sega Hard Girls game.
Oh no shit.
Oh, okay, that's who that was. Okay, I wasn't sure if that was another like creator cameo or what.
Yeah, I don't know, but like basically the origin of this is I'm pretty buddy with a dude called Temsy, and I was talking to him when I was playing the original Sonic Rush, saying, "Man, I don't get the hype for this game. This sucks. Like so many bottomless pits and stuff." And he was like, "Dude, you gotta just persevere with it. You'll find you'll love it in the end and stuff." And I did. I really do like the first Sonic Rush, even though it's got a lot of problems. I think the second one really fixed. But like the thing is, he was saying, "Yeah, I'm working on like a 3D remake," and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, okay, another overly ambitious fan project. Okay, that's gonna go nowhere, I guess." But then, of course, I played the demo, the first one, and I was like, "As if I'm not getting in on this, Temsy. How can I help?" And he's like, "Well, we could put a little pup in there if you could make like a low poly model." And I was like, I'm right there. I'm on it. I'll get right on that. So he put that in the game. And as well as that, I've also kind of taken on a little role in the creative process of the game, workshopping some set pieces for future versions of the game. So I've got like a Google Doc of all these different ideas for how they can fill these levels with as many exciting set pieces as possible. So that's something I'm doing now. So yeah, I'm gonna be shilling the fuck out of this game.
Jesus
But
Christ.
yeah, there we have it. So like, yeah, it's got its issues. It's obviously quite early in development and stuff, but I think we're onto something promising here, especially with the speed of the turnaround.
I need to say this, like in terms of like all the other 3D stuff we were seeing there, and there's some decent looking stuff there. There's a lot of that Unreal, like the engine, like just sameness from a lot of the games we saw. I'm in love with the design of this game, and I'm such a sucker for like weird little Easter eggs or weird little character models. Like, what is going on with this? I've rambled on forever about that weird, creepy hobo in Twisted Metal in my Discord, but
And here, the weird, creepy hobo is Pup.
but that's literally like my favorite part of the game is like I just like that, just like this weird, creepy dungeon thing, and there's our boy right there. It's just kind of, it is a little creepy, but like in a good way. Like I was just tickled pink to see him there. I love little Easter eggs like that. I like running into that shit.
There was something. Pup, I'm actually glad you didn't mention anything to me, and maybe you did make a mention of it and I just missed it. But I was actually really happy to not know about that going in, because that was a really special little moment, just seeing one of my friends like just kind of showing up in a game.
Thank you. But like, yeah, no, you must have been a bit spooked out by his creepy white eyes, like especially when juxtaposed with
I
Sonic.
just loved it. I
What is
didn't
it?
want to go back and find the other ones.
There's
The
nothing
only thing creepy about it was that it just stands there rotating around, staring you down, and I'm like, yep, that's something he would do.
He's too tall. He's too goddamn tall.
That one I do have to say, like I'm used to Pup being the shortest one of the group here, and then there he's
Well, not
just
even
like,
that. Just like
hello, I'm
the,
Slender Man.
the aesthetic, and I know I didn't ever mean to offend you, Pup. Like I've told you this before. Like when you showed off your full model, it's like he looks like a cute little dog. Why is he so goddamn tall? Why has he got clown shoes?
He's not tall. Like
Yeah.
the Pup is supposed to be short, but I guess Sonic is shorter than the Pup, I guess.
Well, I was gonna say, I think I didn't really realize it until I was looking at that little cameo, but no, you got a good character design there, buddy. Like I feel like
It is
it works.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good character design.
Oh, that's pretty much entirely to be accredited to a dude that did some artwork for me in the past called Emissary from Heck. Like
Okay.
I basically sent him like the basic concept, which was much more Sonic-y in its overall design, and he basically reworked it, gave it the sort of the white eye style and everything. And it's been reworked further from there. So what we've got is this interesting sort of amalgamation. But like he really like I can't let the conversation go without saying how much he did for that design and like the contributions he made. Like we
Yeah.
cannot let him go without his dues. Like
I can respect that.
he's a fantastic artist.
Let's
but
get some
let's get
super
some super
chats.
chats in.
Oh, all right. So so Jamie here, he's one of my patrons, and thank you for the $5. But like I said his name wrong because I started doing shout outs at the end of episodes. And like, he messaged me, it's like, hey dude, thank you. Just so you know, like you're you said my name wrong. Because like
Is it
when I first
Chevalier?
I thought it was Chevalier. It's not Chevalier, it's
Oh.
Chevalier. So
Oh.
so yeah, he said I want a story focused Sonic RPG to replace Sonic Chronicles so bad, even if it's fan made. There were a couple of RPG games, we just didn't touch them. So
There
go
was
go
some
check out
even
the stage
based-
page.
Some even based in the Archie universe or the Sad AM universe.
They were more
Big
I think more Archie stuff is usually RPG based, I've noticed. P.S. Say my name, Grandpa Nick. I did, and you're welcome. Rion Islander sent us $8. Thank you. Awesome to be able to watch you guys lives. Do you guys think Sega will take in low poly artists like they have with Mania? Usually I would wait till the end to answer questions. No, I don't. Not at all.
Yeah. I think the closest we got was the special stages in Mania. Like I think like most people here, like probably in the podcast and in like just on the podcast, we probably we really appreciate the low poly look and like it a lot, but it's not a large enough consensus, I don't think, and I don't think that there's enough of an audience there within our own niche, within our own like echo chamber, as it were. Yeah, totally, but we're never gonna see like the same numbers that they do, and I don't think that they would just pick up a couple of arts to do like a low poly game that probably won't sell well just based on the way that it looks alone.
As
That's
much
an
as we love
unfortunate
it.
reality.
Yeah, as much as I would love it.
If they were to do it, it would be like a very low budget thing, and then they'd see how it goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, sorry to be a bummer there. We would love it. We don't think Sega will do it, especially in the era where they're doing their best to be a Mario clone more than ever before.
Yeah. That
Let's
said,
see. Devin McCann, Nick out of context. Channel Pup looks creepy, but in a good way. I did say that. Dragon Blur 57 sent us $10. Hey guys, want to know your thoughts on if SA1 remake were to be released alongside an SA1 movie adaptation? This is a question I thought about recently. Wanted to ask your thoughts. Should we save this for later? Is this like a bigger conversation?
I mean,
think-
all I'll say for now is, please, I would love that. But
we
like,
had, I know we
I
had
don't
a
think it'll
whole
happen, but-
conversation about an SA1 movie adaptation, but I don't think we didn't factor in like a remake tie-in because that would literally just make Sega
I
go,
mean,
"Time
that
to
would
print
be
money."
that would be good. Like if they did
Yeah.
if they did like a year where they had like a synergized Sonic media, so they did like a straight to DVD, straight to streaming, DCAU style, or is DCAMU? I don't fucking know. But like if they did like a DC animated movie style Sonic Adventure 1 feature film, as well as a Sonic Adventure 1 remake, like yeah, I'd be there buying both of them day one. Like hell yeah.
yeah. No, I do think that opens up a much larger discussion about like what a remake of Sonic Adventure 1 even should be or how it should be handled. Cirrus, I know we were planning on having a discussion about that at one point. I
Yeah.
think those plans kind of like, I don't know if they fell through per se, but they have just kind of like been buried.
They dematerialized in the cacophony of real life.
Yeah. It's
I've drafted like 3 different scripts about how I do a Sonic Adventure remake, and I'm still having a challenge with it. So I think that might have to be a show topic at some point.
I would be down.
Shall we?
I'll be honest. I think that it's not out of the realm of possibility because I still think Sonic Movie 2 needs a big bad boss fight at the end of it. And if it's not Metal Sonic or some random Robotnik robot, maybe the Emerald houses Chaos and we just have a big water monster without, all the, the adventure lead up there.
Or at least
Which,
Chaos
makes
Zero,
them
like
matter.
build him. If they did like Chaos Zero and built him up, they're not going to do that because he's like one enemy from a game I like, but I can dream.
I think they would just go straight to water monster popping out without
No.
giving us all the.
Instantaneous Biolante.
It's such a good like build up for that story though, the whole hunt and everything. It literally is
yeah.
just the Infinity Saga, but with Sonic.
So
Before we get to the third topic, shall we quickly address in a timely fashion Devin McCann's first question?
Yeah, the big.
Who would we like to see Sonic crossover with, and what kind of gameplay style would we like to see?
Leisure Suit Larry.
Isn't
God, I
that
wanna
really
die.
horny game?
Yes,
is.
and
Yeah.
that means that it is perfect for a particular era of Sonic.
I also don't want that.
I
I'd
kinda
still
do,
play it. I
not
don't give a
gonna lie.
fuck. I don't give
Yeah,
a fuck.
it's
You know, I'm just gonna say it right now. I actually wouldn't mind. This is like a thing that will never happen, but I really wouldn't mind seeing what would happen with like the Sonic franchise in Klonoa.
Come
Aw.
on, you piece of shit.
I didn't know I was taking yours. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's what I was. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Klonoa is too good for Sonic.
Like when I
You might be
when I think of things that I think could mesh well with it, Klonoa, because it already has that kind of like, yeah, you're playing in 2D, but we're gonna play with that idea a lot, and that's
Mhm.
something that I think Sonic could do for fun as well, like doing that but fast.
Oh, Sirs, have you gotten a chance to play Lunate's Veil yet?
No, I have not yet.
Oh man. Okay,
I'll tell you what. I wouldn't mind Sonic with the scriptwriters of those games.
Oh yeah.
Oh, a Sonic game that could make me cry.
Because I'm sorry, and I know everyone's offended by this. Klonoa stories are way too damn good for Sonic stories.
Yeah, they are entirely emotionally driven, and I think Sonic likes to play with that idea. I mean, if you even harken all the way back to like Sonic Adventure 1, they really tried to do a whole lot of stuff with Tails and all that stuff. But it always kind of felt like a half measure, whereas Klonoa, it's the whole damn point.
And it gets more layered as it goes on. Those characters are far more complex than they initially lead on. Like again, this is like Psychonauts. I'm kind of doing this because I'm doing the script for it. Like surface level, like they're solid cartoon characters, and they're really cute. You can see the comparison between Sonic and Klonoa, but the more you travel down there, and this is, again, I'm not saying Sonic characters are not capable of this. We've had great stories with them, not in the games, not in terms of Sonic's characterization.
And I can't think of any character in a Sonic game that I connected with on the same level of, say, Lolo.
No, Jesus, dude, like those characters. I mean, there's a reason why we still keep talking about.
What crossover do you want? Like, we've established that.
Oh,
Well,
right,
like,
right, sorry, yeah.
There's a thing though, like Sonic is such a unique beast. It's kind of a challenge trying to imagine.
I've got one.
How I want him to interact with characters, but go ahead.
Now, this is a little outside the box, but I would like to see a crossover between the Rayman Legends series and Sonic Boom.
That'd be fun.
Oh, I feel like those two
Work.
universes could mesh.
Jack and Daxter too.
I was toying with Jack and Daxter. You know who else I think I think would actually be a way better fit? Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank would work for mainline Sonic, I think.
Give Sonic a gun. Like a. Oh wait, they've already done that shit.
Wait, hold on. I have a terrible idea. I want you to consider the types of schemes that.
Fuck's sake, Crash and Sonic Boom. Why on earth didn't we say that? God,
that
great.
Sonic would be pretty badass actually, as well. I'm not gonna lie.
I can throw something at the wall that's really fucking like haphazard and off the wall, but it's just wacky enough to work. Think of Eggman piloting a Metal Gear.
Stop. You stop this shit right now.
Think about it.
Don't make me want it. Don't make me want it.
Think about how fucking convoluted and goofy Sonic stories can get.
You know what? Get adventure era corny ass over the top writing of Sonic Adventure and give it to Hideo Kojima.
Yes.
I would play the shit out of that.
That is exactly why I'm thinking. Because do I want something that's like gonna make me feel emotions? And yeah, I want that Klonoa one. Do I want something that's just gonna be fucking wacky? Yeah, hand it off. Let's do the Metal Gear collaboration. Let's go.
And let's be real. As much as I adore the Metal Gear series, and as much as I like Kojima, a lot of his writing isn't really that far above, say, Sonic Adventure 2's.
It's not, but at the same time it is, because you got to remember, we're Americans. We deal with a lot of localization, and yeah, the characterizations are very silly, but those storylines and the lore and everything else, like, it's so complicated and convoluted. It's such a fun rabbit hole to fall into, and that level of depth is what makes it so compelling. Because if they didn't have that, then yes, the characterization is just wacky anime goofy bullshit. But it's everything else that elevates it as much as it does.
I'm just thinking of Eggman. Like, tell me, Sonic, have you cracked the code of the Lalelulelo?
The Lalelulelo?
Metal Gear espionage. Oh god. God damn it.
You just imagine SBO sitting there with like Solid Snake going, so you don't have any powers, but nobody can see you. You use a box. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I just realized who I want to play the next Espio. Oh my god.
You want
Get David Hayter, are you kidding me?
Just give Espio a bandana and have him voiced by David Hayter.
Yes.
Right, so we've got two new super chats, both from way past Cool Kid. The first one, $4.99, thank you, says, I've been a huge fan of Nick and Pup, especially his character design, channel branding synergy. Oh, thank you. And Cirrus, you're super cute, and I like your smarts.
I don't have any of those, but thank
We've
you.
had a lot of people hitting on you last couple days, Cirrus.
And then there was that
They literally
fucking-
think you're a cartoon
course.
character.
and then there
Of
was
course.
that Jacko pose that was submitted yesterday.
That was great.
But
That
of
was
course-
something.
Way Past Cool Kid did not neglect our boy Wallace, saying, Wallace is undead to me, in a good way.
And Emmy,
you. I'll
thank you for
take
the $5 too. Sorry, I'm late. Yeah, yeah, sorry for being late all day with that. I was waiting forever for episode 9. That was a great episode.
It was
though.
really good. That was worth it.
We just got done gushing about all of it. That was a fantastic episode.
Wonderful work from the whole team.
Yes, for really, bravo. Also, we're getting a lot of people like throwing out some really fun ideas out there. Nobody has said MLP, nor will we ever. Sonic and TMNT, Mario and Sonic, but not at the Olympics. Yeah, I think we'd all like that.
Yeah, I
I
would
think
love
that's
it
what
if they would
Sega's
pull the
trying to
trigger
do.
on that.
They're just trying to package up Sonic best they can so they can. Like I said,
That's when they finally do a proper Sonic and Mario adventure crossover, and then Sonic goes back to being the Sonic we know and love.
How weird is it that Mario has had a proper, like, actual game, not just a sports game collection, like an actual proper crossover with the fucking Rabbids before Sonic?
That is
I
kind
mean,
of weird.
That's not a platformer though. That's like
It's
a
not,
strategy.
yeah.
No,
game.
but it is a proper
It's just
game. with,
XCOM.
like-
I wouldn't say that's any more a proper game than the Olympics.
I'm
Like,
I'm with Pup there. I'm completely
don't
with him
know.
there.
It still
I
doesn't
feel
do
like
what
it's so much
Mario's
more
namesake is.
It's so much more its own thing than Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, which is just, hey, this is a fucking motion controls tech demo, like the
I mean, no,
entire
it's-
Wii
it's-
library.
Have
But
you played?
in the sense though, it's still
you
Nintendo
played
not
them?
allowing Mario to be anything. He's not allowing him to be a platformer with anybody else. He's got to be
Yeah.
in a different genre completely than what any of them are known for.
I
It
mean,
is
like
just as
20
wildly jarring.
the 2020 Mario Sonic at the Olympic Games has like a story mode and everything. So like,
That
it's the
feels like a
closest-
Flash fan game. I don't give a shit. That was,
Oh, but it's a
Jesus.
fun little thing to do, and I enjoyed the hub world.
It looks so bad.
At least
It does not.
At least put Sonic and Mario Kart. Goddamn.
Or put Mario in Sonic and Team Racing on the Nintendo Switch.
I'll keep saying it, and again, I mean no disrespect to Jay, but like part of the reason why I don't call Mario or call it the meta era, it is purely a semantic argument in terms of what we call it. At the end of the day, we all have similar problems, but a reason why I call it like Mario era, I call it Boost era, but it really feels like, and I've said it on the show before, and I'll keep saying it. Current Sonic feels like it is designed to be for the Mario Olympic Games. It feels like it is designed to be handed off to Nintendo on a silver platter. It feels like it's meant to coincide with the Mario gang. It is not Sonic-y enough for me.
You make me
So-
want to die when you say things like this because
Well,
you're
that's
not
the
wrong.
thing, because like I spent my entire life as a kid, like holy shit, Sonic is so cool, but I loved Mario first. And I like these two franchises. I like Sonic a little bit more, but I still grew up loving both of them. And all I ever wanted was just to have these two characters together. And now that we do, we still don't have it exactly the way I want. And I want more than anything right now to Sega to distance the fuck away from Nintendo as quickly as possible.
Let
I
Sonic
agree
be
from
Sonic.
the standpoint that
Sonic is not contemporary. Mario's contemporary. Sonic isn't.
He's been
Again, you are
exclusively
not using that
contemporary.
word
What
correctly.
when you say
Like,
contemporary, what
Sonic
do you mean?
is supposed to be cringe. Sonic is
No.
No,
supposed
he's
to be
not.
cringe.
problem.
What?
No, the problem was he was contemporary.
You-
Contemporary means he was of the time.
Is
90s
Pup, I
Sonic
want
is
you
of
to-
the time.
I want you to go look at the intro to Sonic CD, and I want you to say that again.
I want you to look up the word contemporary, the dictionary definition of contemporary, because if it was, that's what Sonic was, because he used the popular things of the time.
Okay. I'm gonna change the word. Tasteful.
I-
Okay.
God damn it.
Mario is all tasteful and it's all like it's gentle and everyone can enjoy it. Sonic for
vanilla.
most people is fucking
Yeah.
cringe.
And
Sonic
it feels
is for
like
no one, and that's what makes it good.
Sonic has my problem with Sonic is that it feels like it did the Jack and Daxter thing to a degree. To elaborate on that, Jack and Daxter I think is a pretty good platformer for the PlayStation 2. It's past its era. The 3D platform was on its way out at that point in time. It was kind of going the way of the survival horror game. But it decided to latch on to Ratchet and Clank and was like, all right, let's be a little edgier. Let's give them guns. Let's go for a darker storyline and darker characters. Let's make every fucking character's voice gravelly and serious. And they washed their hands of their own identity. They were able to hold on to some of it, but they kind of just went with the current flow of the market. Sonic has been doing that for a while now, where it has washed its hands of its own identity just to be a functional 3D platformer most of the time.
That's the thing, is like, it's always been like, Sonic worked because he went against the grain. Like, Mario would be like, it's a fun time. He's a friendly plumber. He's got a happy little smile on his face, and he's going through kingdoms of mushrooms and stuff. This is Sonic! He's on a snowboard. He's fighting emo hedgehogs with guns and bats with tits that are detectives on space colony arcs with lasers and explosions, and the moon gets blown up. Like, that's Sonic. Not this.
So
I'm also friendly Mario on my flower bed. I'm gonna go for a nap at the end of the game. Like,
all right. So no, I'm sorry. I always gotta interrupt with all you adventure fucks here. But, and again, I do like that era. I do. But everybody talks about Sonic like that is what Sonic is supposed to be. That is not what Sonic originally was. That is Sonic of the day. Let me finish my point.
He was, though.
Let me finish my goddamn point.
Okay.
He was even then, when that was a massive shift for the sake of following trends of the time. Because that is when anime was getting huge in the West. And suddenly Sonic was getting more shonen as well. But like, Sonic has always been a clout chaser. Like, always. Like, he's always been following trends. And Adventure Era was another massive shift for what we knew Sonic to be. I'm not saying let's revert back to the old games. I'm not saying let's not revisit those ideas. I'm just saying within context.
Well,
let's consider that this is everything that it is, even if we're not a fan of what it is currently.
Let's take adventure out of the equation then, and walk it back to what Sonic was originally intended to be. This is Mario. He runs with mushrooms. He steps on them. This is Sonic. He runs through metallic bases. He's got pop-inspired music. He's got a girlfriend called Madonna. He's in a fucking band. He loves chili dogs. He's rising against oppression. He's an eco-warrior. You know, that's Sonic.
Well, that's Sonic. But it was also so much more. It wasn't anything basically any anime wasn't doing at the time. And I guess
the point is,
kind of to further Nick's point, if we're even pulling adventure into the equation, that was not going against any grain. Nothing about the whole cool sports wear, the soap shoes, the snowboarding, that was all a product of its time. It was nothing.
Yep, that is
the point I'm making is that Sonic, in that case, shouldn't be emulating Mario, but should be bopping out to the EDM music, going to fucking festivals, getting high off his tits on cocaine. he should be appealing to what Gen Z wants. He should be fucking killing himself.
Well, isn't that the problem, though?
He should be speeding by shadow, waving his hand with fucking blur effects over him. He should have lens flares coming out of his eyes.
Isn't that the problem, though? Is they're still trying to go for whatever the next generation might be into, as opposed to we're 30 years in. We have all of these sources to pull from. We have the adventure games that have great things to pull from. Sonic and Tails R keeps showing us this. The classic games, we know what works for the classic games. Don't pepper everything with Green Hill. I mean, still show us more Sonic-fied worlds. I would take that. And just to backtrack a little bit on my city stuff. Last time we talked about this, my issue isn't cities. My issue is like flat out like we pulled assets and this is just San Francisco. Sonicify it a little bit like the adventure games did. City Escape does not look like a regular ass city.
The point is, I don't want to be loading up a game like Sonic Lost World where it all looks very cuddly and it's got this harmless fucking orchestral track greeting me. Nah, I want to be greeted by fucking butt rock. I want to play this and think, my God, my dad would fucking hate or love this. Like, I want to fucking I want to be assaulted by Sonic. I want Sonic to be confident. I want him to take his fucking massive quilly dick out and push it out of the screen at me.
Okay, all right.
That's getting a
I
bit
feel like we
much.
have some more super chats to get to.
We do, but like just for the sake of this pub, just for the sake of the word contemporary, you've literally been arguing for the exact opposite of what that word means.
Okay, well, you can just piss all over my corpse. All right, so
No.
we've got another super
We
chat.
have to make the
This
corpse
time
first.
from Pagrec, $5. Best podcast. OVA discussion episode soon. I would say it should definitely be in the pipeline.
We really should have done it for this one, considering.
We can always do it for next episode. There's always tomorrow. There's always next week.
Tomorrow,
Yeah.
yes, the next Sunset Episode City.
I really don't even know if we're gonna have time for retrospective with everything we do have a
Tomorrow's
lot to talk
referring
about.
to the future. No. We're only an hour in. These are usually 2 hours. We
Mm-hmm.
can devote our time.
But
So
we
I-
st-
I do think
go
it's maybe time to talk about Rise of the Wisps, though.
Okay, let's talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
Rise of the Wisps.
Yeah,
I want to say Wayne. I wish you tweeted this out, but like before we get into any compliments, the first thing you said, can you just explain like that one critique you had? Because I thought that was just the funniest damn thing.
Wait, hang on, we're missing someone. Black Yakuzu says he
Wait,
looks snub.
the
Yeah, he
critique of what? I feel like I've critiqued a lot of things today.
All you literally said yesterday when we got done with Rise of the Wisp was, "Why was this
Why
two
the
parts?"
fuck was this 2 parts?
Yeah.
Hold up. Before we
It's
before
like
we
it's
get to
one thing. It's one thing. No. It is one thing if they like waited a week and then they were like, "Here's the complete thing." But after an hour, they were like, "Okay, here they are, 2 things together." Sonic Rise of the Wisps complete. It's 11 minutes long. We're not even giving it a day before we're just, here's the complete package. It's 2 parts. It's just barely over 10 minutes when it's all together.
Before we get down that rabbit hole, we did miss one super chat, and since we're already overdue on that, I feel the need to do this now.
Yeah, go for it.
Black Yakuzu 94 cents, $5 says Sonic is designed to be cool, but coolness is always changing. Mario never really defined itself, so he's more timeless. In that case, Sonic's got to go with what is cool, I guess. Which is why I guess people have an issue with Sonic's design sticking around as it is. But either way, I want Sonic to bust a cap in my ass in the next game. Like, have him smoke a cigar or something, whatever the kids find cool these
That
days.
is
Right.
well. I mean, that's always going to be the problem with
Make him a
with
stoner.
Sonic. Is
Make him a
yeah,
stoner.
cool is always changing,
Just pull
and
it.
it's going to mean differently. I mean, they picked like a very temporary demographic for the original games.
Oh, yeah.
So
Give him-
DMC
it's
Sonic
still
May
here.
Cry.
so
Give
I understand why
him-
they're trying to do a more timeless like baseline. Here's what these characters are. Just
Yeah.
Nah,
we
I
can
say
do
just
better.
give him fucking Nike Air Jordans.
God damn it!
And I don't know, have him do something else that kids like these days. I don't know. What do kids like?
I never want you in charge
Don't
of
say
any corporate
Fortnite.
team ever.
you know what I'm gonna say. I had a couple discussions about one very particular movie randomly for a few different people this past week. The Goofy movie.
Oh, I love that.
That's
movie.
such a good
movie.
movie.
That movie's so much better than it has any right to be.
Well, here's the
yeah.
fascinating part about it that I thought was amazing. It is very much a product of its time. It's
Yeah.
very much about being a teenager in the 90s, but at the core, it still understands what being a teenager is. And I think that resonates regardless of when you watch it. There's no touch phones, there's no I don't even think there's an internet in there at all. They got goofy poppy music in there, but it still resonates with what it's like growing up, finding your identity, trying to fit in with people. Like it understands what it's like to be a teenager and also offers what I think juxtaposes that, like, the view of a parent or things of that nature.
Oracle.
And I think that's Sonic's not you need a lot of emotion, you need a lot of heart if you're going to be tackling the teenager route. So if Sonic
So
really wants to be cool
basically,
and be a teenager, I would look
we
to the
need-
Goofy movie.
We need to have Sonic takes Honeyed P to rehab to get his behavior sorted out so he can return to his rap career.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard Oracle, but thank you for the super chat.
Thank you.
Right, so Sonic Colors, Rise of the Wisps.
Yep. I liked it.
I think part 2 was way better than part 1 to me. I liked the action sequences. They made me happy. I liked seeing Sonic just fucking smart off to metal the entire time. That just gave me joy. Also, canonically, there's a Wisp faster than Sonic. Yeah.
And we also
So-
saw that what's his face? Wow, I'm bad with words today. Who actually wrote this again?
Tyson Hess.
Thank you. I kept trying to think of Trey.
Is this the same man that named a character
Trey
Fifty's the Enchilada?
Noble. Did you just say
Yes.
Trey Noble?
Yes.
I kept thinking it was like a T name. Like I keep wanting to say Trey.
Famous author of Sonic the Hedgehog lore, Trey Nobles.
Ah, yes, the ultimate T name, Ian Flynn.
But
Mhm.
Man,
I
stop
mean, they
jerking off to your
flat out
husband
said,
for 2
like-
seconds.
so let me yeah, so he flat out explained because somebody flat out asked him like, why is this the way it is? And he's flat out said like they specifically asked us to keep it in line with Sonic colors. And on that front, I think that jarring opening that we all had, and again, like I didn't have that much of a problem with Sonic being impatient, just wasn't the right time for it, and it was very, very childish in terms of what we had that talk last week, but like that, I think that explains a whole lot because you saw them kind of lean away from that a little bit the
Mhm.
further it went, and yeah, by the time we got to the second half of this 11-minute cartoon, it was a great time. Orbot and Cubot were actually working on Eggman's behalf for a change, which I don't think I've ever seen them do. And yeah, I really liked incorporating Sonic Colors-ish design with Metal Sonic, and when they upgraded him, I just loved it. I loved it. It was so much fun.
Transform.
So, given all of the rants I've just made about what I want Sonic to be and how I, prefer when Sonic is going completely against the grain, this is such a basic, harmless cartoon, which is clearly aimed at kids. But I still like it on its own terms. Like, this is fine. Like, it's definitely better than the writing in the Sonic Colors game.
Yeah.
And like they have now uploaded it as a singular 11-minute short film as well. So like you can watch it in that form and it works much better that way. But you do tend to notice that the first half feels overly long for what it is.
Yes.
And it's kind of like the action in part 2 is the best stuff. I also like the little moral of the end of the story. I know it's very kiddie and it's very on the nose, but like, I don't know. I think just on a whole, this whole thing is just the best thing to come out of Sonic Colors story-wise. And yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
And that's
Pretty good.
kind of a shame because I think the overall message of Colors is a good one.
Slavery bad.
Well, I mean, it's the most on the nose it has been, and I think Sonic's been long overdue. And I appreciate this a lot, like an environmental message playing out through the levels and through the music and the design. I really appreciated that about Sonic Colors. And again, I've talked about that before, and it's just brought down by some really, really rough jokes there. But yeah, it was really nice to see some decent fun. Like that cartoon is what I want Sonic Colors to be.
The absolute best thing about it for me was Orbot and Metal Sonic as well. The dichotomy
God,
between
yeah.
those two.
Big bro.
Orbot who's like constantly overcompensating and like he's trying to take on as much of a leadership role as possible. And you got Metal Sonic who's just done with everything, but he's also kind of confident as well. Like
Metal.
there's a lot of character coming from Metal Sonic for a character that doesn't say a fucking word in the entire thing and is literally a robot.
And that is a
he's-
product of very good writing.
He's a
Yeah,
very
pretty well.
efficient, fierce robot. But the moment he's up against the thing he was designed to beat and has never beaten, like you just see this seething fury and this desperation to prove himself. I loved it. It was amazing. It was so much fun. And Sonic's he's like, hey, you don't want to fight, dude. This is Metal Sonic. He wants to race. He's like, yeah, bitch, let's do this.
I
I love
saw,
it. And then they Wile E. Coyote him up.
I saw someone though on Twitter make this joke, which I thought was really funny. The whole thing is like Sonic has very low self-esteem, where they play a clip from like the Sonic OVA movie where Tails goes, "That robot looks exactly like Sonic," and then play it back to back with Sonic saying, "Metal Sonic, you're looking hideous as usual."
Oh no.
He did say he was looking like in an ugly mirror, and I'm like, Sonic, bro, like he does
Sonic
look
has
different
low
enough.
self-esteem.
And also
we
to point out Ricardo, Tank Chomix. I didn't notice this before. He's like, dude, I think it might be time to take legal action. Because we have Metal Sonic just like strangling one of the wisps. Like,
Oh yeah, I saw that.
oh, there was a lot of wisp abuse in this.
There was a lot of wisp choking. I think like someone there had a choking fetish for wisps.
I have to ask, because the lead up to this, it looked like they're going to put a big emphasis on these uniquely designed wisps with the stupid headgear on
I'm
them.
so glad they
The
didn't,
solid
though.
snake wisp.
The fucking Wisp Avengers. I'm so
But
glad.
what
they
the
fucking
fuck did they
didn't.
do?
They
gave
gave Sonic his powers.
They
were
went around trying to free their Wisp comrades.
they
But
were
why didn't they just
specifically
have regular wisps? They didn't like individualize them at all outside of like, here's some headgear. There was no focus on them.
They didn't
I can
need
see
to. They're
that.
fucking wisps. Who cares?
I can
That's
see
my
that from the
point.
perspective of just like somebody who's done animation work before. It's where you're given a very small allotted time to do this shit with, and you just want to do everything you can with what you do have. And it's like, if you can add a little spark of life to a very minute detail, sometimes that's enough. Where it's just like, yeah, the wisps have their own personalities. Yeah, they are trying to help themselves, but they also need a hand, sort of thing. I thought it worked for what the overall theme of the cartoon was going for. To be perfectly honest, I've been a little quiet because, like, as far as this cartoon's concerned, I don't have a lot of thoughts on it. I feel like the bitter old man in the room because man, if it weren't for this podcast, I probably would have watched it. I don't know. I didn't really care. It was fine. I admire the work that the team put into it, but I'm also just like, I am as somebody who has fervently said, like, you can do content aimed towards kids without making it feel like it's only for kids. I did
mean,
not
put
enjoy
it this way: it's not Sonic and Tails are.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
I will say
it
this.
feels like we're just starved for like baseline okay storytelling and cartoons and everything like that. Wayne, I'm with you. Like, this is not like, as far in terms of like, if you just look at animation in general and what's out there right now, this isn't even the best Sonic short that we have.
Yeah, we have Mania Adventures for shit like that.
Yeah.
And I feel bad about it too, because like the one thing that is always going to get me, because again, it's like I feel especially for animators, is I saw like one of the creative heads of the short like on Twitter yesterday, and they're like, "Thank you all so much for watching. Our team worked super hard on it." And I was just like, "Oh god damn it!" Because I'm just like, well, now I have to feel something towards.
Now you have
this.
to remember a human being worked on this.
Yeah,
and...
several human beings worked tirelessly on this, and they put their heart and soul into it. Damn it! So it's like I can respect that. I just wish I could say I enjoyed the actual thing more, but I'm not gonna lie about it. It's just, if it weren't for, I don't know. It's just not normally the sort of thing I take in. So take any of my criticisms with a very large grain of salt, because I do not think that this was for me.
We do we do have a super chat from Oracle, $5. I would like to see another Sonic and Mega Man crossover, whether it's in the form of an IDW comic or game. What do you guys think? Like a sequel?
I would not mind. I actually, I never read the entire, Worlds Collide story, but there's parts of it that I love. Like the Monster Hunter fan in me loves Styx the Badger taming a Gormagala. Like stuff like that. Just it tickled me pink as a fan of different Capcom properties. So I would like to see more of that. I especially liked seeing the blossoming romance of Dr. Eggman and Dr. Wily.
The
And it
bromance
also-
was amazing. They are fantastic first one especially is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Now, I've not read the Mega Man Sonic crossover, so let me know if this has already been done, but I feel like, especially with the writing that IDW has done, giving Sonic like certain moral conflicts and stuff like that, this idea of a future that is built off of these robots that will occasionally just go haywire on people.
The Mavericks.
Are they always called Mavericks? I thought that was an X thing.
That's an X.
Okay.
But even like just in baseline Mega Man, this happens like every year or so. It's like an annual occasion in their world where it's just like, oh well, time for the Festival of Killer Robots again. Let's do this. And versus the Sonic world where he's constantly trying to prevent a future where something like that takes place. How interesting it would be to see Sonic and Mega Man work together, because like he has to kind of put that bias aside. If that was really done in that comic, because again I haven't read it, but I feel like that's such an interesting thing that you could play with.
I would say something like that is touched on, but I like your premise. That's a really cool premise in terms of like world building. But there was a Mega Man Archie comic, and it was written by Ian Flynn while he was doing the Sonic comic over there. And you can tell like the passion for both those series shines through. So every little bit of fan service is going to be in there, and it thematically and narratively makes sense. It's really good. And again, like Ian usually does with these things, like he makes a compelling argument in terms of like a base game design, like what would make sense in a game narrative for mechanics, and how these things would work in terms of levels or boss fights and everything else. It was incredible. If you guys can't tell by now, as much as I talk about Sonic characters, like gameplay first and foremost every single time. So I really appreciate seeing that translated in terms of a narrative, as opposed to like Sonic SatAM, which they just disregard everything, and there's little hints and pieces here and there. But yeah, it's really good, and that comic convinced me that I want to see more of it, and I would love to play it in a video game because I think it would work beautifully. There's a crossover we should have mentioned again. That's embarrassing.
So we've got a super chat here from my husband, Trey Nobles. It says, "Here's my weekly simp bucks for Sunset City," with a little heart emoji. Thank you,
Simp
Trey.
City.
Well, thank you, Trey.
Honest to gosh, I'm so glad you're here. I don't need any hot busty shikatees when I got you around.
Jesus Christ.
And we've also got Black Yakuzu 94 back again, saying, since we're talking about Metal, how would you compare him to Sonic's later rivals, mainly the other doppelganger, Edgy the Hedgy? I would say that
Let's get into it.
Edgy the Hedgy is the quintessential Sonic doppelganger for the modern age, but Metal Sonic is the quintessential Sonic doppelganger for the classic age, although he does translate quite well to modern as well. That's my 2 cents.
I am with you completely, because Metal Sonic did not evolve in terms of design when they went modern, and I was very interested to see what they would do with it. Then it turns out they didn't do anything. They gave him a secondary like a segment, like he's segmented like an ant now, where he's got a rotating bit for his legs.
And that's about it.
But yeah, I'm in complete agreement. I think in terms of narrative, they both can serve separate functions, but they're both going to be compelling in different ways.
The idea that Metal Sonic is the character, or Metal Sonic is the rival that exists to be like literally the anti-Sonic. This thing is created specifically to fuck with Sonic, whereas Shadow is created without Sonic in mind. Like, this is a character who just happened to be his rival and happens to have a grudge because of a set of circumstances, and as a result, you have Metal Sonic ending up on one side of that conflict. He's always in opposition, whereas Shadow is more, I'm gonna work with you despite my various disagreements with you. I think that's the thing that I like about Sonic rivals in general, is that each one of them can end on a different side. Like, Knuckles was a Sonic rival, and he is one of Sonic's best friends now. Shadow was a Sonic rival. He's very much an anti-hero now. Metal Sonic was a Sonic rival, now still is, and he very much ends up like purely on the evil side of conflicts. And that's a thing that I like about not just, you know, Shadow and Metal Sonic, but just Sonic rivals in general, is that you can put so many of them in different narrative placements, even after they've had their beginning scuffle with Sonic, and it can cause them to continue to have those disagreements.
I do have a massive problem with Sonic rivals in general, and that's the Dragon Ball Z rival issue, where
the shonen recruitment.
They're most compelling when they're on the opposing side. Then afterwards, they're just kind of there. Vegeta's great. I love Vegeta the whole way through. The rest of the Z cast, it's a goddamn embarrassment what they've done with the rest of them.
I'd say Super at least did correct course on a lot of that.
It still caused a whole slew of new problems in terms of that. I still love Super, don't get me wrong, but Vegeta has never, he's like like, all right, you're designated second place, and that's where you're always going to stay. And I'm worried that's what happens in terms of Shadow. Well, in terms of everybody, I got in this little bit of a debate yesterday on Twitter. Surprising, but someone was like, how many worlds, if protagonists turn evil, would be completely screwed? And they brought up, oh yeah, and Mario and like Sonic would wreck everything, and like that's bad storytelling. Then that is an underutilized and useless cast. Like that is a failure on the part of your world building and your cast.
Not to mention, I think that the idea that Sonic would get wrecked by most of the cast, or that said that Sonic would wreck most of the cast, no problem. I don't agree with that. I think just in terms of raw power, characters like Shadow do outclass him.
But that's what makes a hero compelling. Yeah. Crack said this best. When Superman versus Batman was coming out, they were pointing out like Batman's too powerful in the comics sometimes. He's just way too goddamn powerful. My buddy has described it like there's Detective Comics Batman and there's Justice League Batman.
Justice League Batman is
wildly different characters. And the most compelling thing about Batman is whether or not he would win the fight against Superman. By all stretches of imagination, he should technically not win that fight, but he would fight anyway. And that's what makes him compelling. That's what makes him a hero. And I think Sonic should have those next level challenges, even in his rivals.
This is where we kind of bring it back to the F word a little bit. Is like the fact that in Sonic Forces, all it took was for Sonic to be kidnapped aboard the Death Egg for 6 months for everything to go
everything
to
went to shit.
Given that they have Shadow there, Silver there, Tails, Knuckles, there is no way it should have gotten to that point within fucking 6 months.
I will say at least, with one exception, at least they did with episode Shadow try to address why Shadow was not part of the narrative as well. But to be honest, I will throw out 2 characters who can destroy the entirety of any Eggman fleet without any trouble, and they have a reason to do so. Put Knuckles and Omega on a demolition team against Eggman and see how long that empire lasts.
I mean, I was saying it from the start. The story catalyst should have been that Dr. Eggman just went really hard this time and managed to actually overwhelm Sonic.
Let's be completely fair to Sonic Forces. The major focus was on Sonic, and things didn't turn around until he was freed. I do think we at least need to address that. We should at least give props to Eggman in that narrative, because the first thing he did was kick Sonic's ass. Like, he was taken out like a bitch. And I think that goes to show, like, even Sonic can't stand against Eggman when he's going all out. And things didn't turn around until we got Sonic out. We got that Avatar character, and we even got a literal other Sonic to come in. And then everybody came together, coordinated and fought at the end. There's a good story in there if it wasn't all cut out and, put through the filter of really corny dialogue and rushed simple gameplay.
Wave.
Now, with getting down to the F-word slope again, did we want to go ahead and start our discussion on the origins of Metal Sonic?
Yes.
Okay.
It might be time to go ahead and reach our last topic, because I feel like we can spend some time on this.
Okay.
Well, we have a brief thing to get into right before that is still tied into Metal Sonic, though.
Look, I'm going to be blunt with you guys. I think we should probably just talk about Metal Sonic as a character for the remainder of this, and then maybe save the retrospective of Sonic CD until next time, because we're over an hour, almost an hour and a half in.
I think we've only got like 30 minutes left, so
I feel like
you're
if we're
right.
going to talk about Sonic CD, it needs to be his own devoted episode.
At this point, yes, and that will I'll play through it a couple more times.
I would play it a little bit more. I think you guys have valid criticisms when it's concerned, and they do need to be addressed. But I do think, like any other Sonic game, they deserve a little bit more time, as they are designed to be replayed more than a couple times.
We had a whole episode devoted to Sonic 1, which is about as long as CD. So
I want more time to sit down with Sonic CD anyway. But it's like, as much as I love you guys, and I could honestly sit down and talk with you all day, we all do have stuff to do. So maybe we should just move the discussion on to Metal.
All right, let's do it. All right, so Metal Sonic.
Oh, we don't have to rush. It's okay. calm
Unlike
down.
Sonic, he doesn't chuckle.
We need to speed up the pace. Come on.
No, Pup. This is I'm
Just
very
it's-
pressured. I'm like a deer in the headlights now. Why are you doing this to me?
It's for the sake of brevity, and you're not helping with remarks like that. So come on, let's do this.
I will.
Sacrifice the Neko.
Devin McCann sent us a chili dog. Thank you, Devin McCann.
That will be the energy we use. Thank you.
All right, come
Oh,
on, the
man.
Metal Sonic discussion. Come on.
So Sonic CD came out. It was like I find it interesting because it's a game all about time travel and trying to prevent certain outcomes and everything like that. And you essentially get to see like different versions of a possible future. In another world, Sonic 2 would have been Sonic CD. And I just think that's kind of a funny way to look at it. But I don't think Sonic CD, I don't even know if that's like still canon in its entirety, but there's so many elements from it that they have held on to between Amy and stuff like that. But by far, like the most,
CD's absolutely canon. Where
okay,
it lands,
yeah.
we don't know.
If
but
it's in Generations, it's canon.
yeah,
Yeah.
but well, I was gonna say the most popular thing, but that's not entirely true. I mean, again, Amy. Anyway, Metal Sonic is in Sonic CD, and he's still around. He's cool. So, God, that design, holy shit!
I mean, so
That-
when Naoto
Jesus, that design.
when Naoto Oshima was trying to figure out like what kind of rival he wanted to bring in for Sonic, the one word that he had when the design concept was being like drafted was menacing. And that went into every single aspect of that design. How do you make a character run as fast as Sonic but still be menacing? Make him float. How do you make a character that's going to grab you and cause you pain be menacing? His fingers, like in his early drafts, they look almost like fucking knives. The
Man, he
fingers
was really ahead of the curve on the JoJo memes, huh?
So you're approaching me. But no, like having that idea that we want this rival to be menacing and just bringing everything out from there, that was what they ended up working with. And I think it all came out really, really well as a result of this. The idea of using a jet engine to make a machine go as fast as Sonic, that's good from a design concept, and that's also just good in line with what we knew about Eggman at the time. Because at the time, Robotnik had squared off against Sonic once in games. We had Sonic 1, and then we were getting, Sonic 2 and Sonic CD. They were being developed around the same time. So the idea that he would just say, fuck it, this hedgehog kicked my ass, I'm going to put a jet engine on a bot. Like, that just... It made sense with the little we knew about the character at that point, and it still makes sense now.
I did want to say, sorry, I don't want to take up too much time on this. We did have a super chat earlier from Pagrek, $5. Best podcast. Thank you. OVA discussion episode soon. Personally, I would
already
love
read
that.
that one.
We already
read that
talked
one,
about this.
Wayne, you
Did we?
fucking
I'm
idiot.
sorry. I have a terrible attention
For fuck's
span.
sake, think, Wayne, think!
Yeah, we
You know what?
So
we
many
could
super
talk about it.
chats. Yeah.
We can talk
Uh,
about it in our little discussion of Metal Sonic. We can kind of do it chronologically in a way.
Yeah. Because
So-
I actually do love that OVA.
It all begins with everyone's favorite prequel to Sonic the Hedgehog 4, Sonic CD. It definitely don't
You know what?
don't let it fool you.
As in terms of where that game lands in canon, somebody asked Ian Flynn on Bumblecast at some point. Again, I'll pop in every now and then. I've not listened to. I need to catch up on some of that. I try not to listen to all of it because I don't want to like sound like I'm taking ideas from him or opinions, because I've noticed a couple times like, oh shit, we're kind of on the same wavelength with a couple of these things.
Mhm.
But I do distinctly remember somebody asking him where Sonic CD lands in his head. Just because this is a personal bias sort of a thing, I've always wanted to try and force it in between Sonic 1 and 2. But
That-
like,
that
just
makes
like
sense to
Occam's
me.
razor, the way he described it makes perfect sense. He's like, look, bluntly, it just makes more sense after Sonic 3. Like we have Metal Sonic, we have the mecha line that goes through, and then he finalizes and perfects it with Metal Sonic. It doesn't get in the way with anything else because the Death Egg and everything else happened there. And the more I think about it, like Robotnik not having another giant base immediately and like going to Little Planet as an opportune moment, and then using its time warping shit to fast track stuff, that it does unfortunately make a little more sense after the core trilogy, and then that does technically work as a prequel for Sonic 4. And since we didn't finish Sonic 4,
Incredible marketing.
well, you could technically, if you want to make it nice and streamlined and take that headache out of there, everything that happens on Little Planet happens in split timelines, and the bad ending is the end of Sonic 4, and then everything else turns into either Generations or whatever the fuck else.
Sonic
There's a couple of
Hedgehog,
timey-wimey
Ocarina
moments
of
in there.
Time.
See where the Sonic 4 saga began.
Well, it's even like the Sonic OVA, which was sort of like a take on maybe not so much all the events of Sonic CD, but definitely certain elements like the introduction of Metal Sonic. I mean, that had to have taken place after 3 Knuckles. Knuckles is in there. So it's like, I feel like that's a good enough idea is that it takes place after 3.
I just can't believe how forward-thinking they were back in 1993 when they were like, yeah, let's make Sonic 4 Episode 0.
Look,
I have
Well,
more
it's
problems
actually-
trying to place the Game Gear games, which I just treat like Dragon Ball movies. They're just like a separate canon at some point, because I can't justify in my head Knuckles being a dick in Triple Trouble and in Sonic 3. It doesn't.
We need the Broly movie equivalent for Fang.
Maybe Knuckles is just a
or
really
we just
bad
have like
friend.
a redone movie entirely. We're like, let's reslot it into the canon.
I still hate that Knuckles was using any kind of Eggman machinery in the advanced series. Doesn't matter. It's not about him today.
Yeah, these okay, so Metal Sonic's next major appearance would be in, and I'm talking major appearance like story relevance wise,
Right.
would be in Sonic Heroes.
Neo Metal.
But actually, shall we talk about the OVA movie before that though?
I think I'm okay talking about the OVA first, real quick, because like there's
Okay.
there's some things that are toyed within it that I really like. Like for one, the only thing about the OVA that I do not like is how Metal Sonic goes out. That's about the only thing that I don't like in that movie. Everything else, aside from the fact that there's some weird, like, we have to have a Neko anime girl in here, which I guess, makes it in line with Sunset City.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it.
is
Sly dog.
a lot of
cat,
that stuff
damn fuck.
is weird, but the idea that Eggman would just sit there and go, I'm gonna play video games with the princess while Sonic goes and fights this giant robot that I definitely didn't program. Definitely didn't do that. Not me. Like, and the idea
wasn't
that
he-
there's just this other zone that he can go to where like everything's bleak and shit. Like it lets you have those like really goofy Sonic levels and then those like post-apocalyptic ones existing in the same world without too much trouble.
Like a bad future area in a way.
Yeah. The one thing that always drove me crazy, even when I was watching it for the first time, was I was just like, okay, so let me figure out how this planet works. So there's these giant ice tubes that transport lava.
Yes.
What?
Yes. and
Another
then they're
thing-
also bridges.
See, I could see bees making rings there.
Yep.
Another thing I was
God
kind of
damn it.
thinking of. Well, it's all fiction. I don't get why Sonic fans have such a hard time comprehending cartoon logic in a cartoon. But okay.
Because he exists in San Francisco. Sonic's
Oh my
real, damn it.
So any fucking way.
Just call me
The thing
Kai.
about-
No.
Enough
Go
with the
ahead.
padding,
Go
we're
ahead. Go ahead.
pushing
Bob,
an
go
hour
ahead,
and a
Bob.
half. Okay, so fuck. So basically, the whole thing with Sonic OVA is Dr. Robotnik kind of has this huge monologue about copying Sonic's data to create the Hyper Metal Sonic. I think if ever there was a time when Metal Sonic should have just acted like normal Sonic, it was here. I would have loved to have heard Martin Burke's that voice coming out all tinny sounding out of Metal Sonic. But like, yeah, this is where I kind of say, like, if he's supposed to be an exact Sonic replica, like a second Sonic that believes he's the original Sonic, I kind of just think it makes sense for him to act like Sonic and not like a Terminator. But like, still, it's a funny little cartoon. But I enjoyed him. It's not my favorite of the Metal Sonic appearances, even in cartoon media. I preferred him in Rise of the Wisps. But like, Yeah, no. So that's my 2 cents on OVA Metal Sonic.
He's my favorite version of Metal Sonic, without a doubt. I like the menace that he brings to the table, and I think him not speaking and then doing a couple of like emulating Sonic's like cocky like
I mean,
stances and
His
stuff like that
mannerisms.
was
I love his nose
precious.
thing. His
It
little
was
nose
you-
thing.
yeah.
You might know everything I'm going to do, but that won't help you.
Also, he did do the quintessentially Sonic thing of looking up Sarah's skirt.
Oh,
And
of course he did. Yeah, I forgot Sonic is
He's
just
always
categorized as a pervert.
He's
I
got that
don't
little
think
banana nose for a reason.
I don't think he was intentionally trying to look up a skirt. I think he was shoved through the bottom of a
We
the
know
ship.
that,
Which
Nick.
didn't they have that thing where like they're basically connected, and so Sonic is somewhere else while that's happening, but he's like freaking out, and they're like,
Clapping.
"Sonic, the hell are you doing?" And then it just shoots to Metal like looking up her skirt.
So I said I liked this rendition of Metal Sonic. I didn't say I really like the overall narrative of the OVA because they just start throwing shit in there at the end. Like,
There can
no,
only
they're
be
deeply
one
connected.
Sonic.
And then, oh, I'm about to die. No, don't save me because they're gonna.
That's why I
I mean,
said like
it's
that's
dumb.
the
You can
one thing that I
characterize
did like.
his compelling, drive was like there technically can only be one Sonic. I have lost, and I'm gonna take my loss. But
Sonic
yeah, they
never
did
admits
like
to loss,
you're
though.
not wrong. Like he's being Terminator. Like that's literally he's taking out Terminator 2 style.
Like I just a lot of the stuff in it I loved, but the idea the Metal Sonic that we see later in the series, right? Who will cling to life at any cost so that he can usurp Sonic, because he's a machine. He's single-minded. That's his thing. The hyper metal Sonic in that movie just going, yeah, no, you did goodbye. There can only be one. Like,
I mean, unless they're trying to imply
I'm gonna-
that
I'm-
Sonic would
yeah.
willingly sacrifice himself.
I'm going to debate that point too, because, and again, this is like we're comparing early Sonic media as opposed to what they did later, and this is me, doing what these comic writers for Sonic do, which is like I'm going to explain away all your plot holes. Where we have an Eggman who makes incredibly sentient and self-aware not creatures, but robots and things like that. Like shit that is like he's not even aware of like how good this thing is that he made. I really like that about the 30th anniversary comic that really portrays classic Eggman as a goofball, but every one of his creations, like the robots around him, are terrifyingly competent.
Did you like?
he's
Let's
a
just
goofball
talk
who could
about
accidentally
that,
genocide the world.
like the Metal Robotnik mecha that he's piloting. Oh
It
my
looks
god, that thing is
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah,
That thing's
that thing is
amazing.
great.
Did you guys catch when Sonic flips him off?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just
There's
Yeah,
a-
also when
anime.
Sonic fucking lands on his nuts in the third act.
Yeah, I mean early Japanimation.
Animation.
Yeah, they still don't give it that much of a shit about some of the stuff like we do over here. Oh my god, a finger's up. Yeah.
I loved
Okay.
also the whole bit of Knuckles reprimanding Tails for groping Princess Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's the franchise was still a work in progress, but you can see what they stuck with and why they stuck with it. And obviously, that early on they knew they had something with the design of Metal Sonic, because I expected back then a Sonic robot to look like what Mecha Sonic was in Sonic 2. And that was cool to see just in terms of a concept, but when Metal came out,
Yeah.
and I'm sure some of you guys, the first time you saw Shadow, because I was like this with Shadow too, is like I need to see more of this design. This is so amazing. I need to see more of this villain. And I think that's what kind of drove me through Sonic CD. I didn't own it. We're talking Sonic CD another time, but like say what you want about that game, but like the Metal Sonic race in terms of classic Sonic boss fights, like that is a standout moment. And I think they understood like we have something really special here, because
You know
like
what?
Dark Mirrors are nothing new, but
Yeah.
Metal Sonic stands on his own floats on his own 2 feet in terms of a design. I adore that robot.
And actually, to go back to that boss fight, something I want to at least actually credit Sonic Forces for, is because we can have the like OST discussion about Sonic CD another day.
Yeah.
But I actually really like both boss themes for Metal Sonic. I prefer the Japanese one, but the American one certainly has its merits.
Fine.
And I like that the theme for him in Forces is a remix of that. Like they didn't just let that
Yeah.
die out. They were
They
like,
did-
no,
Bad Future Stardust Speedway for Generations, and then an American version of that for Forces.
Well, they also had
was
an
fine.
American
Well,
remix
yeah.
optional in Generations as well. As well,
They did. I thought that was a brilliant way to solve that problem because I grew up with the American one, and that is that music for me. And I've grown to love the Japanese version, and now I can play through that level with both themes, and they both thematically fit beautifully. I love both of those themes, and just god damn it, I love Metal Sonic.
Can I make a hot take real quick though in terms of Metal Sonic themes? My favorite Metal Sonic theme is none of the Stardust Speedway ones, but as much as I shit on Sonic 4, it had for me what I consider to be the definitive Metal Sonic theme music.
I think if it was instrumentalized a little bit better, I wish they would bring that theme back. It's a
Well,
good
they did in Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed, and they did it as like more of kind of EDM sort of a sound, and it worked really well. Like,
I'll have
So
to
I would-
listen to that. I don't remember that.
I would love to hear more of that. Like,
Let's do we want to check out look at some of these super chats we have?
oh god, oh wow, a lot
Hey,
of
we got-
donations
we got
all
more.
of a sudden.
Just
oh,
two
wow.
of them. I'm not just two.
I
We
thought I saw
sincerely
3.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Junior the King. Just a thought. They should make a timeline where the Bad Future is canon, like Legend of Zelda, and make Metal Sonic a big threat. I mean, that's kind of how I would try and fix some of that stuff. Is like
He's so
the-
cool.
Well, I would say like if we have all these problems with canon and timelines and everything, like I would start splitting off Sonic CD. That is like the contentious game. That is a
Just-
great place with all the time traveling bullshit to start fucking with that, and then go back to Generations, and that's where we start getting the deviation with classic Sonic and
I'd be
Mania and all that garbage.
I'd be
as well.
okay with that because that fixes a lot of the like, well, why are there humans here, and then why are there animals over here, and like, well, different timelines.
Sonic
Wouldn't it
X,
be
I thought
cool-
was a great
Having the Mobius like world, and then having the Earth like world.
that shows at its best when it's trying to explain the plot holes of the video games, in my opinion.
I like when
I-
Eggman reconstructs the moon.
Exactly, like they're answering questions for us.
Something I would actually really like to see if they went down that route and had like an evil, a super successful evil Metal Sonic that has reigned in the Dark Timeline. If they wanted to like cross him over with the current timeline, I think that would be cool. And a way you could do it is that what has he been up to before he like crossed over into this timeline? He's been using his ability, like basically Sonic's ability from Sonic CD, the game, to like time travel essentially, to hop around to different realities and just take out versions of not only like normal Sonic but himself, so that he just kind of reigns supreme as the only one.
That sounds, it's not the exact same thing, but it is kind of getting close to Super Mario Bros. Z there a little bit.
Yeah, actually,
I like it.
Wait, well, actually, hold on. Mario Brothers Z. I don't think
The fuck is
No,
Mario
it
Brothers
is-
Z?
it is. Oh no, you're right. No, the Metal Sonic that they deal with in Mario Brothers Z is from a timeline where everyone's gone. Like he did do that.
I don't know what this is.
You,
It's
oh
a,
my
it's a
God.
fan project. You need to go check it out.
You need
It's-
to
okay.
watch it. It
let's,
is phenomenal.
Well, now
Let's
I'm going to
be-
be biased against it because they took my idea in the past.
it's not the exact same thing, and also, I mean, a singular entity going out and killing other versions of itself is a very X-Men Marvel
Yes,
Comics
it is.
thing.
Yeah.
Let's move
sorry.
over to the next super chat, which
Yes.
is from Sonny, with $6 Canadian 99 says Zavok is way better than Metal since he can make Metal his binge based Poggioli magma mode. I think we can all agree that Zavok is Sonic's best rival.
Of
Yes, just comes out of nowhere and has all these interesting powers based in technology that is thoroughly explained in Sonic Lost.
So,
They're a fucking conch shell. God damn it.
tangents aside, let's get back to kind of the main timeline of Sonic.
Yes.
So the next time Metal Sonic was relevant was in Sonic Heroes, and I personally feel like they really shied away from Metal Sonic as who he is in that game in favor of making him more like a new character. As you see him in mostly an alternate form, you don't really get to interact with him in his Metal Sonic form. And as well as that, he talks in this one, but definitely exhibits a very strange sort of I'm an overlord kind of personality. I don't know what you guys think, but I thought this was definitely a weak point for Metal Sonic.
I am 100% with you in the terms of weak point. This was a colossal waste of a character. I will never forgive Heroes for that because I was so hyped for that game. I can see the evolution of Metal Sonic becoming Neo Metal Sonic and, trying to see himself as above. And you still see that insecurity when Sonic shows up at his front door, gets a super form, and starts, all right, dude, I'm gonna fuck your shit up again. He's like, no, I'm real. I'm like you're a dragon.
And then he just becomes a fucking dragon.
This is the thing where they started really veering off from the whole he's a Sonic doppelganger thing, and just like they're trying to have their cake and eat it with this one.
Question, actually, as somebody who's not played Chaotix, was Neo Metal Sonic like the main antagonist of that?
Of Chaotix? No.
No, was that just a comic?
There was a
Ray-
red
There was a
Metal
big
Sonic
red
at
metal
one point.
Sonic.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he
yeah.
was in Chaotix, wasn't he? Okay,
He was.
let's quickly, in a timely manner, reflect on that.
It's a Sonic CD situation. You do not actually tackle him until the end, unless you're like dicking around too much. Because instead of like where Sonic will just hop off the stage, Metal Sonic will show up if you don't move around and start blasting at you.
In Chaotix?
Yeah,
That's fucking awesome.
That is awesome. I want to see more of that.
You're just like, oh, you're just sitting around. All right, I'm gonna just come in here and blast you.
Wait, can you fight him then?
he's the last boss. You technically fight him. It's not direct contact for the first part of it. You go to the level select where it was randomized. He attaches himself to it, and then you have to hit the randomizer, and a different thing will pop out to attack you. It's very akin to Sonic Mania.
What I was kind of asking was like, if you wait too long and Metal Sonic comes and attacks you, can you attack him back to cancel that out? Because that would be quite cool if you could cancel out the "I'm out of here" moment by attacking him back.
I don't think so. I've never actually done that myself, but I don't.
Awesome
I want to say you can't. But yeah, that the Chaotix stood out to me because I was again a little kid, and I just liked big transformations and cool looking shit, and it doesn't even look like a hedgehog anymore. But yeah, I liked big red, crazy looking Metal Sonic at the end of the game. It's a ridiculous boss fight, but it was still just cool because it was a big, scary anime robot.
Yeah, because I was always wondering if like the Metal Sonic at the end of Sonic Heroes was in some way supposed to be like referential to the way he was depicted in Knuckles Chaotix.
No, and I'm actually kind of disappointed by that. Another thing because I know that that Heroes is interesting in the sense that it really did feel like this was the confident way. Well, that's not really confident because they were trying to backtrack a lot, but they were like trying to take a lot of classic Sonic elements and characters and like, okay, now we're going to define them for the adventure modern era, whatever they weren't calling anything, but we're going to be rebooting the rest of Sonic's world now that we've got the main cast out of the way.
Yeah.
And we're doing the Chaotix, Sans Mighty, and I get why they left him out. He looks way too much like Sonic. Wish they still kept him around. And Metal Sonic, to me, felt like this is the adventure version of Metal Sonic because we just had a cameo at Adventure, which I thought was a great model.
Yeah.
And I thought he looked fucking ridiculous for his model for the multiplayer in
with the giant
2.
head or the giant
giant head and the really, really curly short quills. Yeah. But I thought this was like, here's my big defining moment. Metal Sonic is back, and he's the main bad guy, and he is sneaking around the whole time for some reason, and then you don't get to fight him at the end, and then he goes chaos on us because we just need another big fucking
and it takes a
complete
3 years to transform.
Yeah.
It was basically taking a Metal Sonic and shoving it in a God of Destruction hole.
It doesn't help that the boss fight was awful.
And his design's terrible. I really hate the Metal
It's a
Overlord design.
mess. It's a
And-
fucking
It's a
mess.
fucking
And
mess.
somehow, for some reason, we didn't get Super Tails.
I
Remember-
was
Get
man,
Eddie
there
on
were
the phone.
so many moments. I was like, just as like a nitpicky fan, I was just so pissed with this game. And that was one of them. Like, okay, cool. Now we're gonna get Super Knuckles and No, you don't. For fuck's
Like-
sake, man.
Like
It felt to me when I was a kid, and I don't know if anybody else had this, but it felt like Sonic Heroes was the landmark point when Sonic stopped going all out.
That's what it
Oh,
felt
yeah.
like. It felt a lot more like minimalist in comparison to
That's the word I
the-
needed. Minimalist.
the
That's
giant
a good word. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
like the scope and scale of Adventure and Adventure 2 are like leaps and bounds larger than what we got in Sonic Heroes. Because in Sonic Heroes, like, you might go to more physical locations in that game than you do in other games, but it doesn't. That world doesn't feel cohesive, so it feels like there's no sense of scale, and the actual story is just Metal Sonic sneaking around, copying everybody. Note, this is coming from somebody who loves Heroes. I actually do adore this game. But the story being Metal Sonic just goes around, copies a bunch of people, and then it's like they just took all the worst parts of Cell from Dragon Ball Z and grafted them onto Metal Sonic. And that was
I
our
mean,
villain.
I mean, that's the Sonic franchise, especially. That's why I didn't really stick with the shonen stuff that hard. I really did like more compelling narratives, but like they just kept trying to copy what was cool, and they took these mishmash things and then stuck it together. And Metal Overlord is the Sonic franchise, is what I'm trying to say.
Like,
So before we move on to, I guess, Sonic Generations for the next mainline Metal Sonic appearance, we just got 2 super chats, starting with Junkyard Productions, who sends in $20, says, Wayne, this is my plea to you to watch the original SMBZ. Alvin genuinely does some good characterization and decent writing for the time and age he was at. Also, animation is peak.
It is as shonen as Sonic is ever going to get. It's better than anything Sega and Nintendo would put together for us.
Well, I'm
And-
certainly not against checking it out.
And
I've
it's
never heard of
not-
that either.
It is not ashamed to take references from Dragon Ball Z and the structure and everything else. It is a fun fucking time. And for a flat, like 2D style, like we're not going to change camera angles too much. It is some of the best action I've ever seen.
they don't change camera angles too much until Battle on a Disappearing Island.
Right, but
moving-
still, it's amazing. Oh, God, it's
Yeah.
I got to do a video about it. It's so good.
Moving on to the next super chat, the Evil Delic, as you referred to him, Nick,
God.
$1.79 says Metal Sonic's theme from Sonic 4 is lookalike. I don't know if it's intentional, but yeah,
It
does
does
follow a
sound like
very
lookalike.
similar structure to lookalike.
What's can you
Oh,
guys
look
catch
Lookalike
okay,
was
that?
so
the
it's
original
that was
OVA
the-
ending.
Yeah,
The
that was
OVA
the song
Oh.
from the OVA, which, by the way, I found an amazing remix of Metal Sonic's theme mixed with Lookalike. That makes it sound like it was just
Yeah, no,
straight
it
out of
matches.
CD.
It
Can
matches
you
pretty well.
drop? We drop that in the chat for the folks listening in and for me specifically, because I want to
Yeah.
listen to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now. It's by Sound of a Shadow, and it is fantastic.
I
Let
just
me.
posted the lyrics to the song as well in the
The
On a
lyrics are
Sunday,
goofy.
riding my bike, I notice many
things that look alike.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
toot, toot,
the-
fucker.
There's
the,
a part in that song where they literally go, a cow, a steak.
I don't like listening to the lyrical version of that song because it's fucking stupid.
It is
but...
really stupid.
I loved like
just-
the Japanese theme of Sonic CD, and up until I found out what the lyrics were, and that's why it became my little end thing there, because it's so fucking stupid. I
Yeah,
really
the-
thought toot toot Sonic were. What did I think they used to say? It was like zoom zoom or something like that. I don't know. I thought there's something more thematically fitting than toot toot.
Imagine just latching on to the words toot toot and just like just never letting that go, just like ending everything with that.
Can you
Yeah,
just
for
imagine?
sure.
Can you just imagine that after the age of like this is the trombone skeleton toot toot?
No, it's Doom. You
It's
guys ever
Doom-
see
Doom.
that like the Doom like Photoshop cover where it's like the one demon and they replace his lasers with trumpets and it's just Doot Eternal.
Right, so boys,
Sorry.
on to the next game. Sonic Generations. So, I thought this was quite fun as we saw for the first time in 3D classic Metal Sonic with his big ass head. And he looked honestly kind of cute while being kind of sinister. Just a quick rival boss, obviously, but I thought his appearance in that game was earned and it was fun.
Yeah,
I
a
agree.
lot of Generations was seeing some of our favorite moments kind of realized in prettier graphics and things like that.
It
So
was very
seeing Bad
celebratory.
Future, yeah, and seeing Bad Future of like the best part of Sonic CD, the standout moment of that game, kind of played out in that sense. It's not really a race anymore. It's just a boss fight, and I thought it was cute seeing like chibi Metal Sonic, but yeah, for one of the standout boss fights like that had to be in that game, and I'm so happy it was.
For me personally, that boss fight was the first time I ever actually experienced a fight with Metal Sonic in any medium because
Yeah.
I was never able in Heroes to get the last Chaos Emerald because of the really back-asswards way they make you get the Chaos Emeralds in that game.
Yeah.
I was able to 100% every team's story, and then I was always sitting on 6 Chaos Emeralds, and I had to keep on spamming Team Rose in a desperate attempt to make it easier to tote the key to the end. I could probably do it better now, but fact is, I didn't get to fight Metal Overlord, and I didn't own CD, and I never got the Sonic Gems collection for the GameCube, so I never played CD until it came out on Steam.
Right.
So Generations was my first time fighting Metal Sonic, and for that being the first time and it felt so fucking celebratory of that moment, it was huge. I loved the execution even with it being my first time ever experiencing that fight.
I mean, it was also like a huge return to form for Metal Sonic, considering Heroes came before it.
Yeah.
All right.
I think in hindsight, like the only negative I can really take away from that now is like I had such a fun time with Generations when it came out, but like looking back on it now with everything we have now, it is a little regretful like how cutesy they've kind of treated classic Sonic stuff at that point, because before then I had the OVA, I had the 25th issue of Archie, and say what you want about Spaz's artwork, but like he made it spindly. Like I was used to taller Sonic characters thanks to his artwork, and he made some of the best renders of Metal Sonic I had ever seen. And yeah, I guess we didn't really talk about that issue. That's where we got the little thing for Metal Sonic for this episode. So yeah, it was a little jarring seeing him cutified, and looking back on it now, it is, I guess that's my only kind of regret with that game, where I don't know, like classic Sonic's characterization is a little.
He's not the Sonic of that era.
Yeah.
On a note also of like Metal Sonics, not the Metal Sonic, but like given that they had the challenge gates and they had Sky Sanctuary, one of those challenge gates totally should have featured Mecha Sonic.
Yeah, you can understand why they're trying to just focus on the one. I mean, when it comes down to it, gun to my head, like if you're gonna have one Sonic robot, it should be Metal.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands,
I
or
guess
buts.
he's the definitive. I kind of prefer Mecha if I'm being honest, but like, yeah,
I really
guess.
like his design. I really, really like his design, and I will freak the fuck out if we ever get like a toy or we see him ever again, or if they even release like images of him, like of the artwork. But yeah, when it comes down to it, it's more because I don't see enough of him that I miss him so much. But gun to my head, yeah, Metal Sonic is the superior design in terms of just in terms of like Sonic copy and for his own characterization, in my opinion.
So moving on to Metal Sonic's next appearance, we have both Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric and Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal. And I'm going to say this, this is where Metal Sonic started to become boring because he had no business really being in either of those games other than to be like, hey, that's something from the main series. Like, there wasn't really any reason for him to be there other than that.
Nope. Yeah, that was just their recognizable character. Shove it in.
He was more purposeful in Shattered Crystal because Dr. Eggman is completely absent from that game, and Metal Sonic kind of teases Dr. Eggman in that game. But, like, that's all he's there for. It's just a tease that Eggman is coming in a later installment. But in Rise of Lyric, he's just there because he's there.
Well, I wouldn't really say that was like a major appearance of the character. Something I actually do want to talk about that because it doesn't sound like we really have much to talk about unless I'm wrong here. Do you guys have anything to say about Metal's Boom appearances?
Nope.
There's
Okay.
nothing to say. He just leaves no impression.
What do you guys feel about Sonic Rivals and his characterization there? I mean, I know he's just a radio for Eggman, but specifically the black and yellow striped Metal Sonic version 3.
I have never seen him before.
What? Wait, what are you talking about?
All right, let me get this up here in the chat
Is that
for
the
you guys.
mobile game?
No, Sonic Rivals.
Oh, that's
is
the PSP game.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I will get the
oh.
picture and I will get that up there. This
I'm
served
looking at it
as
now.
the basis for Shard in the Archie comic, if anyone's familiar with that, and that turned out to be a fantastic character.
Why
And
does
an
he look-
evolution. What is interesting, like Shard, and we'll talk about it. Like I'm interested to see your guys' take on it, but like Shard was another character that Ian Flynn took and molded into something new. Technically, the very first time we've seen Shard, and let me get these images up here for you guys. I'll just show you both at once. So copy image. Let me get this over here.
So we can't get this in the stream because Sirius is AFK at the moment. But like,
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just yeah, technically the first time we've seen Shard, which is a beloved character for the Archie series, was issue 25. He is the original Metal Sonic, where Archie called him Mecha Sonic, and he evolved into his own thing, and then there's just a bunch of Metal Sonic copies from there in that canon.
He looks like a cross between Gemerl and Metal Sonic.
Yeah, there's I'd say that's a good comparison. I don't think that color scheme works very well with that design, if I'm honest.
I don't think it works in the Rivals 2. I think I like it in that 2D artwork. But that's where they actually let him have angles and some depth to his design. Whereas with Metal Sonic, where he looks more rounded, the more basic color scheme looks better. Otherwise, in Sonic Rivals 2, is what I'm saying here. He looks like a stupid sports car.
He looks like he's like a half-assed attempt to make a Metal Shadow.
Yeah, like one of the Shadow Androids, one of their color schemes, but on Metal Sonic. It doesn't work, not for me.
No. And people are asking questions here like, well, where's Metal Sonic 2.0? It's a good question. Metal Sonic 1 and 2, by the way, were rivals in Rivals 1, as the original Metal Sonic isn't in Rivals 1, and 2 just replicates that Eggman Nega build. I was gotta be so careful with that word. Freaking love Shard, he's awesome. So I guess technically there are 2 different Metal Sonic models out there. I don't know if that really counts in the modern canon, but I guess they're explaining it a little bit in Rivals. So maybe in the storyline of Rivals 1, they explain that a little bit better. It sounds like that's what they're saying. I don't remember Rivals 1 enough to say one way or the other there, but either way, they didn't really change up the design until this version 3, and it really does feel like a skin swap for Smash Brothers or something. It's just not a lot there.
There's one thing I forgot to mention before we went into Sonic Boom. Sonic 4. Say what you will about it. Lord knows I have. They did some pretty interesting stuff with Metal Sonic.
I'm with you 100% there. I really like the focus on Metal and giving him more than just an end game race, and seeing him in the Death Egg and all of that. I really liked all that stuff. Gameplay left me wanting, but episode 2 definitely shines a little bit more because of him. And as rough as it is, I like the concept of episode Metal.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like going back through previous Sonic levels as Metal Sonic. I mean, like, also, I think they had some really good boss designs for Metal Sonic, with the exception of the, I think, Sky Fortress one, which my idea was on paper okay, but required a lot of waiting around, and the plane overstayed its welcome. But like, I think stuff like the Carnival, what's it called, the Snow Carnival place, White Park boss was really cool, and
Yes.
I loved the Double Team boss in Death Egg 2 with Dr.
Yes.
Robotnik and Metal Sonic, to the point where when we got that final chase with Metal Sonic, it almost kind of felt pedestrian. It's like, okay, we're bringing this back now. You know, we had so much interesting stuff. It kind of felt like a cop out that they just ended it on a rehash. Like,
I mean, I guess, but I really think that's how I would have laid it out too. I would have put Tails aside, just be like, all right, it's Metal Sonic and Sonic. Like this is
yeah, because you can 69 through that entire thing like a breeze.
yes, you can.
God fucking.
But yeah, I'm with what I'm seeing in the comments here. I did want more out of episode Metal. I want that concept played out. Like that would be like I've said before when we talked about like Dream Games and stuff like that. That would be like a secondary thing I would have put in Mania or something like that, where you change up the goals a little bit, and like you do what you did with Knuckles. You know, like you just take Metal Sonic through this, and yeah, the mechanics are very similar. Maybe give him a trick here or there that differentiates him from Sonic, and give him a different purpose. Like, and I guess you'd have to play that more with boss fights more than anything else. But and obviously not destroying robots, maybe making robot. I don't know. Maybe you just play him just crushing little animals like he does in the holograms and CD. But yeah, I just want a playable Metal. And his first time playable, I was going to say Sonic R, but that's not true, is it? That'd be technically Sonic Drift, I think.
Do we really count Drift? I guess we do.
It technically is the first time you're able to play him, even though it's a car.
I was kind of just referring to times when he's like relevant to the plot, but like, yeah, like he is a part of that.
But I mean,
even outside of relevance to the plot, I mean, I think anywhere where he's like present is kind of noteworthy.
Also,
There's
to
something
be
to be
fair,
said for.
We did mention like his irrelevance in the Sonic Boom games, but when he got episodes devoted to him in the Sonic Boom show, he was pretty good.
I gotta actually this is a slight deviation, but like not just where he's at. There were some stark. I noticed his absence in certain projects that really bothered me. I'll talk about it and just to like give you a quick rundown in my frustrations. Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. We had a different Sonic robot,
Pseudo Sonic,
and Sonic Sat AM got so close to some game concepts that it really frustrated me. Like we almost had Little Planet, but it was just a satellite that Sonic could walk around on, and a race against that garbage Cheetor ripoff instead of Metal Sonic. Which, I mean, I don't know what the production.
I think those shows were in development at such an early stage.
Right, but as a child, I did not know that, so I was deeply disappointed. I obviously going back on it now, I understand why. But that and Sonic X, I thought it was very weird that we got the Chaotix, but we didn't get any mention of Metal on any front there. I thought they would adapt it like they would the other games.
I remember when I was a kid watching Sonic X, and like season 1 was just like, I had this feeling when I was watching it again as an adult. Season 1 just feels like it's a smorgasbord of fish out of water stories. And then like season 2 happens and they start adapting the games wholesale. You get the battle with Chaos, the flooding of Station Square. You get the Sonic Adventure 2 storyline and the butchering of that in the American version. And then like when the Chaotix come in, it's just like, oh yeah, their house gets transported. Yay! Like I totally expected a Heroes adaptation, but it didn't happen when I was a kid, and when I'm watching it again, it still didn't happen because that's not how media works.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That Individu, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last name. I'm gonna say Amber. Ambler, says Synth Sonic, who was voiced by Roger too in Sonic Boom, has Sonic's personality, so he's slightly off next to Modern. Like, yeah, no, Synth Sonic is basically everything I've been asking for from Metal Sonic, to be fair.
Yeah.
So, like, a little love for Synth Sonic. That's worth noting.
Yeah, I think that's like why like I've personally debated with you. Like I get what you're going for with Sonic. I think just in terms of his design, I think he plays off better the silent and sinister and as the polar opposite of Sonic's loudmouth personality. And also, I think just completely cloning Sonic's personality would, ironically enough, I mean, take away from his own individuality, which I think helps him stand out in terms of an enemy. And in terms of his own character, because I do see Metal as his own character, as opposed to just a copy of Sonic, which I think speaks volumes for him as a character and a design and everything else. Because I always have seen him as a separate entity, even with the obvious, Sonic references in there.
So
and the purpose of them.
basically, I want Sega to bring Cyborg Sonic from Sonic Boom into the main series. Again, Sonic Boom, so many good ideas. Like, it annoys me that it ended so prematurely.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us to a super chat that we've got here.
Yeah.
That Jordo says, did we talk about Metal Sonic's rocket from Sonic the Fighters yet?
And
No,
we have not.
haven't.
And I love that the fan base will attach themselves on to absolutely any little thing there is. Yeah, there's just this random transformer that's got a Metal Sonic theme
Oh
to
god,
it.
I'm looking at it now. He's
Yeah.
got such a crazy head.
Yeah, he transforms into a jet and blasts off.
He reminds me
everyone's-
of Johnny from Sonic Rush Adventure with that head.
I think he's been modded as a playable character, or like you can like if you get into the code of it, you can make him a playable character. I don't know for sure, but it's an interesting design, that's for sure. So
It's just a fucking jet airplane with legs.
yeah.
That's all that is. It's
So
so
let's,
goofy.
Yeah, when's the next time Metal was relevant? Are we up to Forces
Sonic
now?
Sonic Forces, yeah. And again, this is one where his appearance just had me yawning. Like, we knew
And
he
he's-
was coming. There was no surprise. And among an array of other villains that we probably expected less, such as Chaos, like, again, he's just pedestrian, but it's just too bad that, he got a boss fight and Chaos didn't. I would have much rather fight Chaos.
I'm just gonna say this right now. I don't want to run everything back to the Rocket Sonic we just talked about for a half second, but looking at the model for a sec, my brain just immediately goes, "This would fit well into Gurren Lagann."
Oh boy.
The hell is that?
Oh,
an anime.
Educate you.
Okay, well, educate me another time. Let's keep
Yeah.
on moving with the main topic.
Well,
I think
Well, all right.
let's talk about Sonic Forces, everybody.
Let's talk about Sonic Colors Ultimate some more. No, I don't
No,
want to. I don't want to.
you
I-
know
that
what?
does come out soon,
But
doesn't
that's what it comes down to, though, isn't it? Because
Actually,
the next time we're going to see Metal Sonic, it's a big selling point for double dipping in Sonic colors.
well, yeah, we do have some Sonic Colors Ultimate news, but I feel like as the resident European on the round table, I owe it to European, Middle Eastern, and Asian viewers. Sonic Colors Ultimate has been delayed indefinitely on all boxed versions in the Europe, Middle East, and Asian territories, excluding Australia and New Zealand. The Western release is set to go ahead just fine, but yeah, I got an email from Amazon today about my pre-order of the boxed edition. It's expected to arrive October 1st now. So
Jesus.
it's quite a delay. So everybody cop that digital deluxe because I've
Yeah.
got that as well pre-ordered on the Switch. So like I'm ready to play. I'm good to go.
What
But
a
I'll have to
brilliant
let
way
me
to
know
get
how
some more
the-
sales.
You'll have to let me know how the Switch version performs. I'm going for the PS4 myself.
Well, I was mainly intending on going for PS4, but when I saw that Digital Deluxe launched 4 days ahead of the
Yeah.
original intended release date, I was like, hey, I can cop that and I can do a video on it quite early, you know? So like business. Everybody go check my channel and watch my stuff and give me money.
I have a feeling that that Rise of the Wisps is going to show us more of what I actually want Metal Sonic to be in this game, where he can utilize Wisp powers, and they even explain why he'd be able to. And instead,
chokes
it's just
him.
going to be a ghost race event.
Oh, and by the way, the delay is due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It's not anything in Sega's control.
Right. I feel like should be the assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and also we did see we did see the specs for the PC version of the game.
Oh yes. 6-core processor needed and
And
26
then
gigabytes.
TBA on everything.
And you need
of
a
space.
freaking Epic Games account.
I thought it was coming out on Steam and Epic Games.
It will come out on Steam, but at a later
Okay.
date.
Oh, later. Okay, well. Either way, so if I remember, I've been reading Twitter about it because people are like, I don't see the big deal. I'm like, well, here's the big deal. Forces is half that size. And for anybody talking like, well, not everybody can run Dolphin.
If you can run
Well-
this, you can run Dolphin now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case, unless they're really overcompensating out the gate, and that maybe these aren't entirely
I
accurate. But like
don't
these are,
think so. I
this
think
is
this
what
is
it
a
says are
cross.
the minimum specs. So like,
This sounds like an issue of uncompression. It sounds like they did not compress this stuff properly. That's what it sounds
except
like
the
to
thing
me.
is, like a Switch doesn't have 6 cores, so how is it going to run on
I-
the Switch?
Okay, you want me to?
Worse. That's how.
I can
Oh,
actually,
fuck.
I can answer this one. This one's very, very easy. So with your, granted, it will not run as well on the Switch, obviously, but the multiple cores for your computer are running double duty that the Switch is not having to do. Your computer is going to have to run things like your browser. It's running a media player. It's running Windows operating system, which takes several gigabytes of RAM merely to function. The Switch doesn't have that issue. So it needing so much and that being more than what the specs of the Switch have, that doesn't mean anything because there's enough taken off from background processes and your operating system alone on the computer that comparing the specs required for the computer and the specs available on a different console, it's almost meaningless because the way they're being ran on both is completely different.
Well, there we have it. The benefits of heterosexuality.
For God's sakes.
Oh my
Great
God.
moment.
Look,
Well,
4 dudes chilling in a studio 6 feet apart because we're not COVID.
that's racist.
So, right,
know what-
before we pack things up here, Wayne.
Yeah.
And that's all, folks. Good night.
Well, no, like,
No,
like
yeah,
you setting up
Wayne.
a question?
Yeah, no, Wayne.
That sounded like a dot.
Yeah, no, I just like before we pack things up, Wayne. Good night, everybody. No, Wayne, what are you doing?
My
like, what's-
best.
What are your social medias and shit? Plug yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Wayne is boss on YouTube and Twitter.com, the Bird app, and right now I'm working on a review of Link's Awakening, specifically the original Game Boy version. I am also working on like 5 other things, mostly just related to Metroid. I'm getting really pumped up for Metroid month. And they released a new trailer for Metroid Dread today and a new poster and everything. I'm so fucking excited for this game, guys.
I am too. God damn, that trailer was amazing.
I'm so pumped. So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at right now. Next thing that'll be going up on my channel is probably just going to be the Link's Awakening review. I'm going to try to get that somewhere in like mid-September, but that's really only that's going to be it from me until October hits because I got a lot of shit to get ready for.
Yeah.
Cadet, right, sirs, go!
So you can find me on Twitter at Skeptic. You can find me on YouTube, Necosaurus. You can do that over on Twitch as well if you want to do like my live streams and stuff. If you care about real life stuff that depresses everybody, you can go to my regular Cirrus channel. Though I do not recommend it. These are things that I vehemently do not recommend doing. as far as what's going on the NecoSurs channel, the next video I have planned over there is something that a lot of people might not care about much. I'm going to be talking about the recent collaborations Magic the Gathering's been doing and what it means when your niche game goes like fully mainstream. So I'm going to be doing a presentation on that over there, and then after that, I might start doing some more Sonic related stuff over there, or I might do some more Pokemon Unite related stuff over there. I'm not entirely certain. That plan is fluid at the moment.
Before we go on to Nick, we've got another super chat from Way Past Cool Kids who says, "Good night, boys. Besitos." Thank you for your generosity and support tonight, Way Past Cool
Yes,
Kid.
thank you.
You've been way past cool. Right, Nick, drop and give me 20.
Well, I think
Penis.
afterwards I'm gonna clean my game room a little bit. I'm gonna go grocery shopping, and feed the turtles. Try and set up their
Your
their
social
hunting
media,
area.
maggot.
What's that?
Where can they find you, maggot?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't use the internet. What do you do, pup?
Boomer Nick.
Currently, I'm a drill sergeant.
Is this your American impression?
American drill sergeant impression. Oh, we got John the real Wawaluigi.
Wawaluigi.
Hey, John. Good to see you,
Hey,
man.
doing, man.
Sorry that I'm late, but just wanted to poop in and pop in and say hi.
He said poop.
Oh,
Why is that so fucking... No.
my eyes are shut.
I'm not even doing it to be an asshole. That was legitimately funny. The word poop is always funny. I don't give a shit.
I
Oh.
fucking hate this
you can
podcast.
you can find Channel Pup in Sonic Rush 3D.
You can
Is
find
where you
Channel
find him.
Poop in Rush 3D.
Yeah, you can find me there as well as on the Channel Pup YouTube channel, where we are really going for a lower budget style of content right now to justify my continued existence on this platform and in the real world. As well as that, you can find me on Twitter, where I post really great takes about Spider-Man, among other things. So, yeah, that's me. And has everyone said everything they want to say before we head off?
Yep.
Yeah.
We should mention, because I did mention on Twitter that we were going to be doing the Sonic CD stuff here, but obviously we've had a lot to talk about, and that's a good problem to have. So unless there's some big crazy stuff next week, I think we're going to have our part 2 of Metal. Well, it's going to be episode 26. We're not going to do the part 2 bullshit again. And I think we're all in agreement. We'll do the retrospective then.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got more to come regarding our boy Metal Sonic.
Channel Poop.
Oh fuck me.
Channel Poop.
Before we go, there's just one thing I want to try real quick.
There's Bebop Nux.
let
Need
me
more
just-
Drill Sergeant Channel Pup. There you go. Look at that.
Oh, you want more Drill Sergeant Channel Pup, Megan?
Maybe away from your microphone. I'd appreciate that.
Oh, you want more Drill Sergeant Channel Pup, Megan?
That somehow didn't make it better.
Someone's
Oh,
gonna call
okay.
the cops
I
on
literally. Okay, yeah, no, my neighbors are not going to be best pleased. But yeah, okay. Thank you for the encouragement, Bebop Nux. It really goes a long way to me annoying these guys even further. Anyways, so that does it for today's episode. The sun is once again setting on Sunset City, and the train has just fucking crashed. Good night, folks.
Toot toot, Metal Sonic Warriors.
See you next mission.
Bye.
You guys have